Great. The only thing that sucked was the football game last night. That was
well,
just an
the
atrocity.
NFL football game. The college football games were amazing.
Yeah, K-State
college
coming all the way
games
back.
Were awesome.
That was great. I was so upset at K-State after a few of their miscues in that game, a couple of decisions. They were down, what was it, 17 points?
17.
It was
34-17 with like 3 minutes to go in the third quarter.
Yeah, and then their ability to fight back was, again, it goes to show you that this team will be good, and I think either next year or the year following. Avery Johnson, don't give up on him. The highs are very, very high. The lows are very low, but as he progresses in his college career, those lows will start to be washed out, and the highs will become more the norm. But yeah, that was electric. Way better, you're right. That NFL game, though, last night was, again, an atrocity to the game of football.
Yeah, it was pretty rough for somebody who likes to bet touchdown scores and first touchdown and anytime touchdowns and throw a little parlays with touchdown scores. A game like that is rough. That's not a good night. You say I only talk about the wins, all right?
Yeah.
Last night was rough, okay? My wife takes a bath every day, and I took a bath last night. But different types of baths that we were taking. Let me tell you that with that
I got a push,
NFL game.
if that counts.
Yeah. That's nice.
I got it early with Seahawks -3. I go, that's a silly line. Seahawks will win by way more. I'll just take the -3. Push. Yeah, it was a push.
K-State saved my bacon. I'll say that because I had Avery 50 yards rushing, 175 yards passing, and K-State alternate line -2.5.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Thank you for getting that 2-point conversion at the end to go up 3. So that saved me from taking a larger bath than last night. But yeah, no touchdown scores in an NFL game. That hurts when you bet a lot of anytime touchdowns and first touchdown scores and 2 touchdown scores and things like that. It's been successful for me this year. It's just not going to be successful for you every single time out of the gate. That was an awful game. And in fact, I watched about 10 minutes of it. And I decided I'm going to put it on in the background after the K-State game was over. I'm going to watch the Nate Bargatze special that came out a couple of days ago.
Oh, Big Dumb Eyes or something like that? Is that what it's called?
No, your friend Nate. It just dropped on Wednesday.
Yeah, I know. Nate Bargatze is awesome.
Day.
I thought he was talking about, when he was doing the special, he was like, what's the special called?
It's called Your Friend Nate.
Oh. I thought you were
your
saying,
friend Nate Bargatze.
I thouh you were saying my friend is in like because of Tahoe.
No.
I was like, yeah, he's a nice guy.
It's
He's a great dude. I don't know if we're friends, but I'd say more like acquaintances, but
no, that's what it's literally called. Your friend, Nate Bargatze is the special that dropped on Christmas Day. Because I had tweeted out, and Kent Swanson had took a screenshot of this that I tweeted out. If you remember the Nate Bargatze Great Saturday Night Live skit of the American Revolution and all the differences and things that we're going to do versus the British. And, everybody's going to use one unit of measurement and we'll use a different one. Why? Nobody knows. We will call 2,000 pounds a ton. Sir, is there something for 1,000 pounds? No, there will be no term for that. Why? Nobody knows. It's just that great skit. And I tweeted out, I said, why do the British call it, say Happy Christmas, and we say Merry Christmas? And then I put Nate Bargatze, nobody knows. And I guess right before I tweeted that, Nate Bargatze tweeted out, my special has dropped on Netflix, and Kent Swanson took a screenshot of those back-to-back tweets. And he was like, this is odd. I'm like, yeah, that's crazy odd, because I had just seen, on TV, somebody said Happy Christmas. I'm like, why do they say that in with the British? We say Merry Christmas. And I immediately thought, Nate Bargatze, nobody knows. So I did that last night instead of watching that Thursday night football game. And I think people that watched that game got as many laughs as I did watching Nate Bargatze. And Nate Bargatze's special was awesome. Different types of laughs, by the way. I was laughing with humor. People watching that game laughing because you can't believe your eyes and how bad the football was. I assume, because again, I was just barely keeping track of what was going on last night. That was after the K-State game was over, which was, after the Toledo and Pittsburgh game was over. Those games were great, entertaining, fun games. K-State comes out with the win, 9 wins this year, getting the bowl win. It's 4 out of 5 years that 3 out of 4, I should say. 4 and 2 is 3 and 2, I guess. 3 and 2. Yeah, 3 of 4. Sorry. Lost the first bowl game with Chris Kleiman's first year when they got to 8 and 5. They lost that bowl game, and then they've gone 3 and 1 since the COVID year. So 3-2 in bowl games overall, but 3 out of 4 back-to-back years winning a bowl game for K-State, winning the Pop-Tarts Bowl last year and the Rate Bowl this year down in Phoenix. But it is 3 straight years of where they've won at least 9 games. And for K-State, 2016 was the last time they won more than 8 games. And now they've done it 3 straight years with Chris Kleiman. I mean, there's something to be said for that. It's something to be said for Mizzou on Monday. If they win, to get to double-digit wins in a season, to keep sort of that same momentum rolling, if you want to call it that at all, and sort of, try to see what the next group of players can be. And that was what, for K-State, their main cornerback opts out, understandable. Their main running back opts out, understandable. And they go up against a Rutgers team that a lot of players had returned, but Rutgers' main running back had opted out as well, understandable, in that particular bowl game. And we saw the K-State team out there that is, the future of the Wildcats. Because what was really cool about last night, and I want to start in talking about K-State and the win, Sterling, but I also want to get into coaching because it's kind of a jumping off point for the fact that, Andy Reid is not going to get one first-place vote for Coach of the Year this year, even though this and 2014 might be his best coaching jobs as a Chiefs coach, taking a team from the number 1 pick to the playoffs, winning 11 games that next year, and obviously what he's doing this year and winning 15, maybe being the only second team in NFL history to win 16 games in the regular season if they beat the Broncos with Matt Nagy's offense. I'm still going to call it that next 2 weeks. This is your offense, Matt. You take control of it. So I want to talk about that, but I want to start with K-State and then get into coaching because there was something that happened in the K-State game versus what we saw in the NFL game. Oh, and especially what we saw in that Pitt-Toledo game. Oh, man, I almost threw up in that Pitt-Toledo game. I mean, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. Just an egregious coaching malpractice in the Toledo and Pitt game, okay? The only reason I would talk about Pitt versus Toledo and Pat Narduzzi is because of that. But the really cool thing about last night, Sterling, is, we talked about Drake and K-State from the negative standpoint of K-State basketball when there were 4 Kansas City kids on the floor for Drake playing in Kansas City and beating Kansas State. And the dude that hits the three-pointer to win the game, his parents are KSU alums, right? They went to K-State. He grew up a huge Wildcat fan. Not good enough at that level to play Division I, so he went to Northwest Missouri State and starred. And now he's at Drake playing awesome basketball. So understandable why K-State wouldn't go, hey, we're going to go and recruit you, and you're going to be our point guard, right? You're going to be the guy that runs the show here. It's understandable. It's not like it is not Mizzou and DeJuan Harris.
Yes.
All right, that's egregious.
Yes.
All right, it's not
Correct.
Mizzou and DeJuan Harris.
And that will
okay?
still
That's
always get me.
Agreed. That is a very different, example for that. But it was really cool last night watching a backfield of Kansas kids. It was Avery Johnson and Dylan Edwards. Those 2 guys grew up in Kansas, rooting for K-State. Dylan Edwards obviously transferring eventually after, going to Colorado, but transferring back to Kansas and going to Kansas State. Avery Johnson staying committed, staying after his freshman year as well when there were people reaching out and trying to get him to go to different schools and transfer, stays at K-State, and they go and play last night. And, yeah, Avery Johnson made a couple of mistakes and some throws, one really bad decision that he threw it right to a Rutgers defender. I'm not sure what he saw on that particular play, but those guys in what they did last night, Avery Johnson and Dylan Edwards, were just phenomenal and fun to watch because it reminded me of everything we haven't seen from the Chiefs this year. The Chiefs, we have seen, Sterling, these slow, methodical 10, 12-play drives. We finally saw a big play, 49-yard pass to Justin Watson, 2 days ago. We had the 52-yard pass to Xavier Worthy against the Chargers, in week 4, whatever that was. And so we've seen a couple of those plays, but ultimately they are leading the league in 10-play drives. They have the most. They average the most plays per touchdown drive. Right? It's more methodical. Matriculate the ball, take what's there, take a profit, all of that stuff. And last night it was K-State landing haymakers. And both sides certainly they were getting hit with some haymakers on the defensive side too, which they cleaned it up at halftime. They gave up 85 yards in the second half, so they clearly fixed some things at halftime, came out and played a little bit different. But offensively, you've got big plays and Dylan Edwards. I was thinking about this morning, Sterling, and I'm like, DJ Giddens wasn't there. And DJ Giddens is an amazing running back. He is so fun to watch. DJ Giddens, Devin Neal, those guys were so fun. Cody Schrader, like a few running backs over the previous years that I've just had so much fun watching. I'll be honest with you. I kind of felt that way about getting a chance to watch Kawan Lacey for Mizzou.
Yeah.
And now he's a Nebraska Cornhusker, so that sucks. But DJ Giddens is fun to watch play. So anytime he's playing, I want to watch. He wasn't there, right? He opted out. That's fine. But I was thinking about this morning, Sterling, that it feels like while DJ Giddens has some big plays, right? He feels more like he's such a good runner. He's going to get you block it for 3, he's going to get you 6 or 7. You block it for 5, he's going to get you 8 or 9. He'll break a big one from time to time. But he feels more like the comparison I came up with. He feels more like a technical point boxer that's going to jab you, work the body, jab you. He'll get a knockout from time to time, a big play, because he's that good of a player. And last night, Dylan Edwards was Tyson. Like just fury. Knockouts coming out of the gates, big blows, haymakers. The guy had a 65-yard touchdown run, a 36-yard touchdown run, a 26-yard touchdown catch, and in the first quarter had another 43-yard run in the first quarter. Like Dylan Edwards is, boom, landing punches, and Avery Johnson, haymakers and big plays. And I'm imagining, and I can understand K-State fans imagining what next year could be like with those two guys in the backfield, and you go, DJ Giddens is awesome, but you sort of scratch your head as to why Dylan Edwards touched the ball 73 total times this year, out of 13 games or 12 games leading into last night's game. It's like the guy didn't touch the ball all that much. He had some punt returns that were electric, but watching him last night as the main guy, him and Avery in the backfield as Kansas kids, doing that, man, if you're a K-State fan, thinking of what the offense can be next year, you're pretty pumped. You're pretty excited with them coming back and doing what they did, getting to 9 wins yet again. And I believe they'll hold on to both of them because those guys stayed. They didn't enter the transfer portal. They didn't do that. They stayed. So they'll be there next year as well. And that's, man, that was a blast to watch. And it was highlight after highlight in the second half. And Dylan Edwards, I think, can change the game in an instant. Well, because he's so quick and so fast and a playmaker.
Well, and I think what the concern is can he be the guy or is he a change of pace guy because he is 5'9", 167? Like, I am larger than he is. Again, I am not the quickness that he has, but he is not a big guy. Can he be the guy? And in this game, you saw he can be the guy. What was it, 10.9 yards a carry? But in the regular season, he still averaged 7.4 yards a carry. This guy, as you're mentioning, he is explosive. He is electric. To me, it comes down to what is the workload look like for a guy like Dylan Edwards? Well, when you touch the ball 18 times on the ground, you have a couple receptions through the air, that's 20 touches total in this game at least. That you can handle a full workload. Do I want him maybe next year for K-State getting 25 touches a game? Probably not. Can that be sustainable at that size for a full season? That's probably a little tough. But can he be the lead back? I still think he can, yes. And I don't know if you had that concerns at all. I did when I saw Giddens and Edwards. I think it's a great 1-2 punch. I would have maybe liked to see more Edwards in general. But I think now you should at least squelch some of those issues of can he be the lead back? Can he take 20 touches a game? Clearly he can.
Yeah, I think what we'll see next year is Giddens was the one, Edwards was the, as you mentioned, change of pace back, give him the ball, get him in space, things like that. I think next year we'll see Dylan Edwards will be the one, and Joe Jackson will be the change of pace, but as a bigger back, 6 foot 200, and that guy can carry it 20 times. But I think it'll be the inverse, where DJ Giddens is a guy that can carry it, 25 times a game and get you 150 yards and is just going to pick up 5 and 6 and 12 and 4 and 5 and things like that, where Dylan Edwards might pick up 1 or 2 and then 30. Where Joe Jackson, who also had a good game in this one, he had a touchdown reception, I think. Yeah, it was a touchdown catch that he had and a big run on 1st and 20 when K-State was trailing in the game by 5. They were facing 1st and 20 after the holding call, and Joe Jackson rips off 16 yards on a run. So that's a freshman. So I think the backfield, Avery Johnson, Dylan Edwards, and Joe Jackson is in great hands moving forward. And I think it'll go from Giddens 1, Edwards 2, to then Edwards 1, and Joe Jackson 2, and they'll have that 1-2 punch. It won't be thunder and lightning. It'll be lightning and thunder. You know
I
what I mean?
like that, yeah.
Yeah. So I was so impressed with that. And Avery Johnson, I had to check twice. I heard Stan Weber this morning, and they were talking about it. I didn't realize Avery Johnson became the all-time touchdown passing leader for a single season in K-State history with 25 passing touchdowns for a guy that was viewed as a dual threat, even though K-State, has thrown it a lot this year. But a dual threat guy passes Will Howard's 24 touchdown passes in a season with his 25th touchdown. Well, 23rd, 24th, and 25th because he had 3. And he's only 18 touchdown passes away from being the all-time touchdown passing leader in Kansas State history, which is crazy to think about because, you've had some great players like, Josh Freeman threw for 8,000 yards, but he only threw 44 touchdowns. Will Howard had 48 touchdowns, and Avery Johnson's already tied Colin Klein for touchdown passes. He ain't going to catch Colin Klein's, 60 rushing touchdowns.
Sure.
He's not going to catch that. But as a passer, Avery Johnson is impressing, and, I think he'll play 2 more years because I don't think from an NFL quarterback perspective he's 1 year away from being a first-round draft pick. I think there's maybe a couple of years of honing in on that and improving and getting better. And if he stays 2 more years, he's 5,000 away from Josh Freeman for the all-time yards passing. That's 2,500 yards a season. He had like 27 this year as a sophomore. So Avery Johnson, in theory, Sterling, could leave K-State as the all-time passing touchdown and yards leader as a guy that was viewed as this guy's so fast and a dual threat, and he's going to be running and he's going to do all these different things at K-State, but he's more running quarterback. And he could leave with the, being the most prolific passer in K-State history. It's just what he's the ability he has. You can see the level he could carry K-State to because K-State, Mizzou, and KU, I have said for a long time, and in the NIL era or not, it will still hold true. Other teams can win in spite of their quarterback. Georgia, Alabama, things like that. Because they can recruit, and just throw out layers of 4- and 5-star guys. The 3 local schools have to have difference makers at quarterback. And Avery Johnson is one. And that 4th down and 3 call that Chris Kleiman made in the fourth quarter with 12 minutes to play, 11:14 left on the clock, down by 12. You're going to get the ball a couple more times. You're at your own 33-yard line, 4th and 3. How many coaches punt? A lot. A lot of coaches punt. And he went for it, put it in Avery Johnson's hand, and Avery Johnson did what he did, and he made a play. He ran to his right, brought the defender to him, found Cephas for, wide open and picks up 35 yards on 4th and 3. And the entire game changed on that one decision, which I want to talk about. We'll get into take a break. We'll come back, and I want to talk about coaching on the other side, what we saw from K-State. That specific decision from Chris Kleiman, the Bears coaching last night, and Pat Narduzzi's decision last night. And the difference of all of those things and relate it to the Chiefs. We'll explain on the other side of the break. More Zone next. vomit-inducing. So we'll start with the good.
So we're not doing good or best?
Good, worse or worst.
Okay.
That's what we're doing. Great, worse or worst. K-State last night. We'll start with that one because we just finished talking about K-State. So we don't have to spend a lot of time on this one. But 11-14 left, down 12, your own 33-yard line facing 4th and 3. A lot of teams will punt there. And Chris Kleiman, because score and time matters. If the game was 6-3, you may punt there, right? You've scored 3 points only. You're not moving the ball. The other team isn't moving the ball either. They only have 2 field goals on the board. That other team's put up 41 points. So if you say, all right, if we punt here and get a couple of possessions, we're down 12, okay, great. But if we get 2 more possessions left and we're down 17 or 19, then the game's over. So we may have 2 possessions left, and I don't know that they're going to still be at 41 if we get there. So we've got to be aggressive here and go for it. And they did. And they picked up that 35-yard pass to Cephas. And they end up scoring a touchdown on that drive. The defense comes out there, forces a 3-and-out. 2nd down and 7, they get the sack, then the 3-and-out punting. And K-State down 41-36. And 3 plays later, after that punt, a touchdown, 2-point conversion, and they are leading 44-41 that quickly. 5 plays for Rutgers after that and turns the ball over on downs. K-State gets 1 first down, the Avery Johnson 6-yard run, and then takes some knees. After that 4th down decision, Sterling, Kansas State ran 10 total plays to take the 44-41 lead, 13 total plays to kneel downs. Rutgers ran 8 plays after they converted that 4th down and 3.
Wow.
A 3-and-out, and then 5 plays and a turnover on downs.
Wow.
That decision right there, Sterling, of being aggressive. And also the team converting, right? You can make the decision, you can make the play, do all that stuff, but the players have to go out there and execute. That game completely flipped on that decision by Chris Kleiman to say, we're being aggressive. We're not going to play this conservatively. We're not going to punt it and do the old coach thing. No, believe it, we're at our own 33-yard line. If we don't pick it up, the game's over. If I punt it, we can still stay in the game. I punt it, we get the ball back. If I don't pick up this 4th down right now with 11 minutes left, it's probably over. I don't care. We're going for it.
Well, I think too many coaches talk themselves into, we'll punt it here, and if we score, what we'll do is we'll have to get 2 onside kicks, so we're basically still in. But seriously, I think there's something to that, because the way you broke that down is the way I think most head coaches should think. I don't think all head coaches think like that. Again, you're right. The defense has given up 41 points. You're not trying to get to 41 or 42 points. Most likely, if you punt, you're going to have to get now to more than that, right? Mm-hmm. And how many possessions are now left in the game? Even if you give up a field goal in that situation, you basically are where you started from if you would have punted, and now maybe you actually give up less time if you got stopped on that 4th down, right? So there's different ways of looking at it, but yes, that is the right decision. You have to take that into account, and I despise when coaches think that the onside kick is like, well, we'll just get the onside kick. The thing that happens 5%, that's what you're counting on? And not only recovery, but now you have to score from then too? Like, I like the aggressiveness. It shouldn't even be considered aggressiveness, the normalcy of what it should be in that situation.
Yeah, normalize being aggressive, right? Normalize going for it in those situations, even with 11 minutes to go in the game at your own 33-yard line, recognizing time and score and the fact the other team has put up 41 points at that point. Now, technically, you have gotten to 31, but you had 2 2-point conversions that failed. You got the big 2-point conversion that helped everybody out that may have taken the alternate line of -2.5.
Congratulations, Jason.
Yeah, that's right. I needed it, thank God. The worser decision and end of game, the Bears last night.
Yeah.
There's 4th and inches, 2 minutes and 14 seconds left at the 41-yard line, their own 41-yard line, and they false start. The Bears do, down by 3. They're at the 36-yard line, 2:14 left, 4th and 5. They bring out the punt team. Then with 2 seconds on the play clock, they call a timeout. Chicago does, using one of their 3. They were going to punt with the 2-minute warning and 3 timeouts left, which would have been dumb. I would have gone for it, and I'm glad that they ultimately decided to go for it. but they burned a timeout to decide to go for it. 4th and 5, Caleb Williams makes a great play. Runs to his right, finds DJ Moore, 14-yard catch, great play. They pick up a first down. They get to the 49-yard line. They at 2:05 left to go, they run up there 1st and 10, and Caleb Williams drops the snap and he gets sacked. Now they're at the 44-yard line, 2 minutes left, 2nd and 15. DJ Moore, 1-yard catch. 45-yard line, 1:15. They ran the first down play or second down play with 2 minutes. It's now 1:15 left. They still have 2 timeouts, 3rd and 14. Odunze, 15-yard catch, great play. They get up to the 40-yard line of the Seahawks, down by 3, 2 timeouts left. They snap that ball at 1:15. On first down, they snap it at 37 seconds. They scramble to the line of scrimmage, snap the ball at 37 seconds, don't have protection, and Caleb Williams just throws the ball away. So they come out on 2nd down and 10 with 31 seconds left, and they call a timeout because they get to the line of scrimmage with 2 seconds on the play clock. The clock was already stopped, and they got to call a timeout after throwing the ball away, after not using a timeout after the first down catch of 15 yards. And then, of course, they get down to 4th and 10, and it gets intercepted. It was brutal clock management and decisions that were made by the Chicago Bears interim coach. Nothing new with Chicago. They're a poorly run football team. Here's the worstest that I've seen in a long time. Pittsburgh and Toledo. Not many people were watching this, okay? Or maybe, I don't know. It goes to 6 overtimes, so maybe people started paying attention then. 2nd overtime, Sterling. Pittsburgh's down 40-37. They're at the 1-yard line, 3rd and goal. They bring their tight end into the backfield as the quarterback. They roll to the right to throw to a defensive lineman who's wide open, but the tight end overthrows the defensive lineman. The play call worked, didn't execute. It's now 4th and goal at the 1, 2nd overtime. We all know what happens in the 3rd overtime, right? It's just exchanging 2-point conversions. That's all it is.
Yes.
You're down by 3 at the 1-yard line. 1 overtime away from having to go and do 2-point conversions anyway. A, you go for the TD to win the game, or B, you kick the field goal to tie, convert a 2-point attempt, stop a 2-point attempt to win the game. And Sterling, if you decide to kick the field goal from the 1-yard line, your next play is a 2-point attempt from the 3-yard line. I can understand on 4th and 1 if you go, you know what, we just don't have a good play. We don't feel confident about. We've used all our good plays, right? We've gone for 2 so many times. We just don't have something we feel confident about. Let's kick the field goal. But you got to go for 2 the very next play. It was one of the, honestly, Sterling, I know that we're sometimes hyperbolic and in the moment.
Sure.
It was honestly one of the dumbest, most indefensible decisions I have ever seen, and the college football and football gods allowed Toledo to win last night in 6 overtimes because Pat Narduzzi decided to kick the field goal from the 1 to send it to a 3rd overtime where then he has to convert a 2-point attempt from the 3.
Well, go to it. What do you think that Toledo wanted to do in that situation? They probably wanted them to kick the field goal.
Dude, Dustin Fox was on the call last night, and he was all over it. He's like, why are they kicking a field goal here? He's like, am I watching the same game? He's like, they have to go for 2. And when they kick the field goal, I can't remember Toledo's head coach, and he goes, he's extremely excited right now. He's got to be pumped that they just kicked that field goal.
Yes.
You're exactly right. You read it the same way that the analyst, I loved it, dude. He was all over it and clowning Pat Narduzzi for kicking the field goal there at the 1-yard line.
Well, again, I always go back to that. If the opposing team is happy with the decision that you're making, you're probably making the wrong decision.
Dude, I just think about that. Go for the touchdown at the 1-yard line. If you don't get it, you lose the game. If you get it, you win the game. Or kick a field goal, then you must convert a 2-point attempt. And if you do, you must stop a 2-point attempt. That's to win the game. It just doesn't make sense.
I kind of think the Bears might still be worse because they've at least had it twice this year. Again, different head coach, but this is the same situation twice, which is thoroughly impressive.
Dude, you had time to think about that.
I know.
You're at 3rd and goal at the 1. You're at 3rd and goal at the 1. You know if we get it or not, what are we doing here? If it's a holding call and we don't get it, it's 4th and goal at the 11. All right, I get it. But 4th and goal at the 1. you've got to run a play the very next play because you lead off the third overtime because you ended the second. So your offense will stay out there and go for two. You have to convert that. They did. Boy, imagine if that was on 4th and goal at the 1. They would have won the game. Instead, they lost in 6 overtimes because there is a football god. And there is no reason that Pittsburgh should have won that game after making that cowardly decision to kick the field goal on 4th and goal at the 1 in double overtime before you had to then convert a 2-point attempt from the 3. It's just so freaking stupid. I could not believe it, man. It's one of the dumbest decisions ever. And shout out Dustin Fox, color commentary, that said, am I watching the same game right now? I don't know what is he doing? Why is he kicking the field goal here? Am I watching the same game? That's as critical as you'll probably hear from color commentary on these broadcasts. So we'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Lee Sterling, Todd Lebo, get you set for the weekend's worth of football games. We'll talk with Matt Derrick at 11 o'clock. More Zone next.
Sports handicapping champion Lee Sterling on the Zone. Log on to ParamountSports.com or call toll-free 800-400-9741 to get started.
Welcome back into the Zone on this Friday. Not a regular Red Friday. Chiefs already played and won on Christmas Day, so it's still time to make a little money with Lee Sterling from Paramount Sports because the football just keeps coming at you, Lee. Whether you want it or not, it is that time of year. How's everything going as we get towards the end of the new year with Paramount Sports and all the action we have coming up?
Good. The question is, I just got to make sure I don't gain too much weight
yeah,
between now
for sure.
and after the holidays. So trying to hit the treadmill, the elliptical, walk outside, lift a few weights, do a lot of sit-ups because not only is it the holidays, it's my birthday on the 29th. So a little bit of everything.
We got it all going on. What have you got for us this week from Paramount Sports?
Well, they can continue with a 5 for 55 and only had 4 losing weeks there. That means we've gone 3-2, 4-1, or 5-0. All the other weeks in the NFL, which is tough to do, and then the college bowls are going on, so you can get, how about this, everything through the Super Bowl. We're not even halfway through the bowls, not even close. All the bowl games, college football playoffs, last 2 weeks of the NFL season, entire NFL playoffs and Super Bowl, including my top 10 prop plays, normally $5.97. Use coupon code SAVE300, just $297, cheapest we've ever offered it. So go to ParamountSports.com or give us a call, 800-400-9741.
All right, well, let's kick it off with some games tomorrow. Don't forget the NFL has a triple header tomorrow. You can hear it all right here on Sports Radio 810. First game up will be the Chargers at the Patriots. Chargers need a win to get in the playoffs. Their schedule is pretty easy down the stretch here, but they're a 4.5-point favorite against the Patriots team that played the Bills pretty tough last week.
Yeah, they did, and I think they found a quarterback. The question is, though, what are they going to do, with the rest of the roster? I mean, they're going to have a high draft pick. I think that they're going to go for Hunter. I think that they need some speed on the outside. I mean, maybe he can play, both ways like he does in college, or at least, you put him in on defense when the other team gets past the 50-yard line. It looks like he's not getting tired. He's playing, 120, 130 plays. But until that time, I mean, they're just not good. I mean, this roster is not real talented. The Chargers, 8-2, straight up and against the spread when favored, average margin of victory, over 7 points. And offensive coordinator for New England, I don't know what he's going to dial up against his defense. His defense been pretty rock solid here. Unless they, win the turnover battle by 1 or 2, I think the Chargers are the right side. I think they win and cover 27-17.
All right, also in the AFC West, the Denver Broncos had a chance to win a playoff spot last Thursday. They've been chewing on that for a while. They're going to Cincinnati, who's barely alive. So, and Cincinnati could be dead by the time this game kicks off if the Chargers win, whatever. But they're going to go out and play football. Can the Broncos go on the road and win a playoff spot against a team that they're underdog against?
I think that they can. I think they can here. Cincinnati's defense ranked in the bottom 5 in yards and points allowed. Broncos defense usually travels. By contrast, rates among the top 5 in fewest points, fewest yards, and most takeaways. Despite Joe Burrow's heroics, the Bengals are only 2-5 straight up and against the spread at home. Cincinnati's home victories were against the Raiders and the Browns. Those two teams have combined 6-24 record. All 5 of the Bengals' home defeats were against teams that were in the playoffs. And Denver's almost for sure going to be there. I think they're like almost 90%, something like that. Bo Nix, 14 touchdown passes the last 6 games. And Denver kind of on a mini bye here after playing last Thursday. So no team has been better against the spread this season than the Broncos. Covered 11 of 15 games. I think they keep moving here. Denver, 34-24 over Cincy.
That'd be a big one for them to make the playoffs and not have to worry about next week's game against the Chiefs team that probably won't be trying, but still, it's a football game against the best team in the league. All right, so the Cardinals are dead now. They blew it last week. The Rams could control the division. Seattle won last night, but the Rams are at home against the Cardinals team who they already beat this year, I think. You like the Rams here at home?
Yeah, the Cardinals won the first game.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, 41-10 week 2. And I remember that game. They just dominated the line of scrimmage here. Now, obviously, they're not in the playoffs now, but that domination was not just running the ball. James Conner had 122 yards rushing on just 21 carries. Kyler Murray looked great, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. I said it when it happened. They went into a bye, and they were on fire. What happened since then? 1-4 straight up since that bye week here, and gave up first and second place. They're now in third place. I just don't want to lay the easy way is just say, oh, the Rams, that looks like they're going to win the division. They win this game here. But 6.5 points is a lot. I'm going to say they win the game 27-24. Arizona gets the cover or backdoor cover, however you want to call it. You know, a lot of people go with the, they have to win to make the playoffs, that kind of thing. Going with that logic usually is a failed logic here. Rams 27-24, Arizona with the cover.
All right, moving on to Sunday, the Miami Dolphins are still today, right now, alive, barely for a playoff spot, but they're on life support big time. They're going to Cleveland. Cleveland's dead in the water. Looks like it's going to be some really crappy weather up there that doesn't usually do well for Miami. It's not going to be really cold, but it's going to be rainy probably. Dolphins are almost a touchdown favorite here, though.
Yeah, Miami, I think the talent, they've kind of underachieved this year, but let's look at a couple things in this game. We know that they've had trouble against winning teams. Well, Cleveland's not a winning team. And also they play poorly in bad weather, cold weather specifically. Not going to be that cold. It's going to be in the 50s. And with that being said here, maybe a light mist, a light rain here, but I think Miami's going to be able to move on this Cleveland defense. I mean, Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward, two players. Other than that, they got a bunch of pedestrian players that can't make plays. Their quarterback, Dorian Thompson-Robinson, DTR, how about this? 18.3 passer rating last week. How bad has he been? Well, he's made 13 career appearances, including 4 starts in his 2 NFL seasons. He's completed just 52% of his passes for 1 touchdown and 9 interceptions. You and I go back a little bit, Todd. These are numbers like you see like in the 60s and 70s of some second and third stringers. He's that bad. Also, you need to push the ball down the field against Miami. Miami's 2 defensive tackles rate 6th and 8th in Pro Football Focus rating, so I don't think they're going to have a whole lot of success running or in third and longs. And DTR not able to push the ball down the field, 0 for 11 with 3 interceptions when he's thrown a pass of more than 15 yards this season. Worst starting quarterback in the league right now, and that's saying a lot here. I think Mike McDaniel might be coaching for his job here. Tyreek Hill hasn't practiced much, practiced a little bit this week. He's had a wrist injury. I think he has a big game here. They're going to move him all over the field here. And I think Miami finally gets to 500, 27-13.
All right, and we got a big one. I think everyone wants to watch this one. Packers and Vikings. The Packers have only lost to, I think, the Lions twice, the Vikings, and the Eagles this year. They're awesome. They're really good, but they're in third place in their division. The Vikings are still alive for the 1 seed. This is a big one, and the Packers are a very slight favorite.
Yeah, something has to give here. Minnesota has won 8 in a row. Green Bay 9-2, last 11. When you watch that first game, Vikings were up by 28 points. Ended up holding on 31-29. Green Bay was terrible. I think they turned the ball over like 2 or 3 times in the first half. Just took themselves out of the game. They battled back as hard as they could. But I think this game will be different here. Green Bay was without 4 starters even last week in their game against New Orleans, and they shut them out. I expect 2 of those to be back here. Green Bay's averaged 32.5 points last 5 games. Minnesota 8-1 in one-score games. I think that might catch up with them here. I like Green Bay. I'll lay the 1 point. I think they win 28-24.
That sounds great. Now, we've also got a game of the week coming up. It's Monday Night Football that looked really good in probably September. Not quite so good now, but hey, listen, it's always something good to talk about with a game of the week with Paramount Sports.
Yep. So we've got a game that we think we've got an edge here, and you got to look. Sometimes it's not just the most high-profile games. It's a game where you feel that you can get a winner, and that game is Detroit and San Francisco. Detroit's laying 3.5 points. Do they win easy, or can San Francisco, which is out of the playoffs, keep it close or pull the upset? Be one of the first 10 callers. Call 800-400-9741. Again, the number 800-400-9741. 2 specials for you, 5 for $55 in the NFL on Sunday or through the Super Bowl in mid-February. Just $2.97. Use coupon code SAVE300. We'll also do everything else. Basketball, having a great season of basketball, hockey, just one place, ParamountSports.com.
Sounds great, Lee. Good luck this weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Todd.
That's Lee Sterling from Paramount Sports. More Zone coming up next on Sports Radio 810.
Around 12:30 or so, we'll see who's lighting it up. We've got our cuts before the show is over. No need for Chiefs predictions later on today because they don't play for another 9 days after 3 games in 11 days. 2 games in the last 6 days that they have played. This time last week, I was driving. Sterling was there in the captain's seat.
Yeah, someone has to grind and work here, Jason.
Right. Sterling had the con, and the Chiefs would play the next day and then on Wednesday. So we'll talk with Matt Derrick about these last 2 games that the Chiefs have played. You know, I remember listening last week, and there was there were a few compliments thrown Dylan's way for starting the hour a little bit late to allow for Matt Derrick to be in studio. And literally 1 week later, Dylan, what happened?
I told you in the break, you give people an inch and they take a mile, and Matt just took that kindness and just, abused it. And it's just sad. It's sad.
He misplaced your kindness for weakness.
I agree.
That's what he did.
That's exactly right. And he's listening right now, and I feel bad even saying this to him, but come on, Matt. No.
I feel like
it's Christmas
you need
time.
To
it's the traffic.
lay down the wrath.
No.
Show him that you are not weak.
I can't.
Kindness is not weakness.
It's Krampus
If it
time,
wasn't
baby.
Christmas time, I think we'd be okay. But I think that the Christmas traffic and all the people back in town maybe
It's
just
be
Christmas
German.
time
Be
at
German.
WHB.
Be the
Mom's cooking
Krampus.
chicken and
Come
collard
on,
greens.
dude.
Rice, mashed potatoes, macaroni.
There's also
cheese,
Boxing
and
Day
Santa
yesterday, of
Christmas,
course, so.
Christmas tree. Decorate that with lights so bright. Lights. Oh, sorry. 913-912-4810 is the text line to join us to be a part of the show. 913-912-4810 to text us and be a part of the show. 913-912-4810. We'll talk with Kendall Gaiman coming up at noon. You know, one of the things I'm going to talk with Matt Derrick about, because I'd said that those 3 coaching things that we talked about in the second segment of the 10 o'clock hour with K-State, Chicago Bears, and the Pitt Panthers last night, just 3 different coaching decisions, clock management at the end of the game, and how different those things were. 2 teams lost. 1 team was aggressive, went for it, kept their foot on the pedal. That team won. They were rewarded for it. That was K-State last night. And then how to then bring that back around to the Kansas City Chiefs and what we've seen this year. And the lamenting that Andy Reid, let me ask you this. Do we think Andy Reid's going to get a first-place vote for Coach of the Year this year? Just a first-place vote for one of the voters?
No.
I don't either. I don't think so either. He may.
Should he and Willie, I think, are 2 different things. Clearly.
For you and I, totally. Absolutely. Should he? 100%. Yes. Make a pretty strong argument he should be Coach of the Year. This team won 15 games, dealt with injuries all year long. But the narrative out there about how lucky they got and the referees and how, stupid mouth breathers that don't know how to think coherently and have a sort of illogical and unreasonable way of viewing things in sports. That's kind of what fans are, I guess. But still, if you saw it from the context and what actually happened this year, then you wouldn't look at it and say, well, Andy Reid's the 3rd betting favorite for Coach of the Year. Because we just talked about 3 decisions last night that resulted in a 3-point win, a 3-point loss, and a 2-point loss. I think those decisions would matter in a game, right? Those different things down the stretch. And what were people talking about? The Chiefs they're not impressing. You know why? Because they're winning all these close games. Well, winning close games, does coaching have to do with that? Does putting your team in the right position have to do with that? Does having your team prepared to make the play have to do with that? I mean, the Chiefs enter every single week with the inherent advantage of Andy Reid being the coach, Patrick Mahomes being the quarterback, and not having to look over to the other side of the field and say, oh, God, the Chiefs are over there, because they're on that side of the field. They don't have to go through the feeling of here we go again. They don't have to go through the feeling of, wow, how did we lose this one? Because it's been the exact opposite. And you build off what happened in Baltimore or against Baltimore week 1, and against Cincinnati in week 2 in finding ways to win those games. And I'll compare it a little bit to Chicago last night, and I know that is a dumpster fire of an organization right now, and they look like clowns half the time. But that team was 4-2, almost 5-2 when the Hail Mary happened. Remember the Hail Mary and the bounce up and the dude that was taunting the fans? They were going to be 5-2. They've lost 10 straight games. And that's the difference in you win a close game, lose a close game, and then it starts to get into, oh, God, here we go again. Oh, now we made another bad play. Oh, now we made another bad play. Okay, now you got the body language. Okay, Caleb Williams storming off the field. It's a 3-point game. There's 30 seconds left. You're at the other team's 40-yard line. You've still got a timeout left, and you're looking at the sideline screaming and yelling while you're walking off the field. That's the moment's too big. The stage is too big at that point. They haven't been there, and when they've been there, they have failed. They have not come through. And the Chiefs came through in week 1 and week 2, and I think that built on it over the weeks, week by week, and they continued to get it done. Matt, agree, disagree, indifferent, or punch Dylan?
Bummer. How did you know that he was here? Did Dylan, you text him?
I just guessed.
I think he's twitching. He's on the Twitch.
Oh, you're on the video. Oh, what?
No, I'm not. I should be. That would be a good idea.
Then how'd you
actually,
know? You don't have the sixth sense. By the way, have you seen the end of that movie? Wild twist.
Have you seen the beginning of the movie where they gave away the entire plot?
Yeah, it's kind of true. Big M. Night Shyamalan guy. How did you know he was here? I thought he was going to surprise. I was like, we were laughing, kind of giggling like school children.
I don't think
presence. I mean, you folks here in Johnson County are very, very fortunate because you're not experiencing the fog that is going on north of the river right now.
Interesting.
I mean, you can barely see your hand in front of you.
Big KU fans up there or
and
something?
Then I cross the river, and it's like, where's the fog?
Have you not heard to beware of it? There's a whole school dedicated to it.
School of fog?
They tell you all the time. To beware, Matt. Here's my strategy, though. Here's my strategy. I was going to say Matt agree, disagree,
Wait, Jason, Matt just got it. He just goes, beware the fog. I get it now.
I got
it
that.
Took him a long time.
It took me a long time because
it's all good.
Because
it's all good. He's flustered. He just got there. He was in the fog.
I mean, I got to admit. I mean, if you're not good enough to beat Missouri at basketball, I don't really pay attention to you that much.
Ooh, I see what you did there. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Oh, now Dylan's mad. Now they're all whispering. You're missing this, Jason. They're all whispering under their breath right now. It's incredible.
Actually, that's a double slight. That's a shot at KU and Mizzou.
After I took
that shot at both of them.
Took that kindness and saw it as weakness, and
that's right.
Yes,
exactly right. Here was my strategy, though, guys. My strategy was, Matt, you agree, disagree, indifferent, and if he didn't say anything, I would go, yeah, no, I think it's a great point. Thank you. Oh, that's a nice compliment you paid me. Oh, you know what, Matt? Stop. And if he answered, well, then he was there. See, it's perfect.
Well, and what I was going to say when you said agree, disagree, and I'll admit I hadn't really been paying attention to you. I was just going to say yes.
Oh, good. Yes. That is exactly right. It was a long soliloquy to let you get settled in there.
It was a great time filler. I was paying attention.
Good. I'm glad that you were paying attention. But the point being, coaching decisions at the end of games do matter. And we saw 3 different ones last night. A team won by 3, lost by 3, lost by 2. And the teams that lost made pretty crucial coaching mistakes. The team that won was aggressive, made good coaching decisions. And yet those things don't get counted in, Matt, for whatever reason. Even though, and maybe it doesn't get counted in for Andy Reid. Let me just say that. It doesn't get counted in for Andy Reid because in 2013, when Andy Reid took a team that won 2 games the year before and they won 9 more games the next year and made the playoffs, he finished second in Coach of the Year to Ron Rivera and Carolina, who was in his 3rd year at Carolina and his 3rd year with Cam Newton. But that's when he became Riverboat Ron. He was making these aggressive decisions and going for it. So the narrative was like, oh, my God, Ron Rivera's winning all these close games by these different decisions that he's making. And so he got credit for that. Yet this year, Matt, there's no credit given to Andy Reid for the Chiefs finding ways to win. And part of it, I do think, is the narrative of, oh, they got lucky and the referee's bailing them out. But why do you think some coaches will get credit for decisions that are made and how a team plays at the end that makes the right plays where other coaches may get credit for it? And we certainly We certainly take shots at coaches that make the wrong decision, and we clown them.
It's a really good question, and I wish I had a good answer because I mean I'm just remain completely perplexed, and my colleague Nick Jacobs from 41 is the mic. Hopefully you're all listening. We've been having this discussion both on and off the pod and everything the last few weeks about the fact that there's this national media narrative that the Chiefs are lucky, that's how they're winning games. It's luck. You know, that they're apparently the only team in the history of the NFL that has doinked a field goal off an upright. And you think about it, you go back to the Isaiah Likely touchdown. I mean, at the same time, all this media narrative has missed the fact that the Chiefs missed out on maybe 2 or 3 touchdowns because Xavier Worthy didn't get a foot down and came close to it, and maybe was a little unlucky there. I mean, it goes both ways. And once again, I mean, a great example, and I think this fits in with your narrative, Jason, is, you know, the Raiders game. And people saying that that's luck, that, you know, hey, Aiden O'Connell and the fumble and everything and then the botched play. Well, here's the problem. Here's the problem with that narrative is that the Raiders and other teams are going against the Chiefs make those mistakes because they don't have the composure. They haven't been there. They make those mistakes. The Chiefs don't make those mistakes. They haven't. There's not a single mistake that the Chiefs have made this year, to me, that's anywhere on par with what the Raiders did. And there's been other times too that teams have just made mistakes that the Chiefs don't make because they're better coached. They've got better players. They've got smarter players. They've got more experienced players. I mean, you just go on and on down the list. And I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just that, you know, hey, this business, sometimes we know it. Hey, let's admit it. It's based on conflict. You generate conflict in order to draw interest. And while you guys don't do that, you're outstanding professional sports broadcasters.
Thank you.
I think that there are plenty of national broadcasters out there that know that their paychecks come from conflict. And how do you get conflict? You don't get conflict by saying the Chiefs are the better team. Oh, you guys play better, because you don't have a chance unless you do, unless you coach better, unless you play better, unless you get better players. Not going to beat the Chiefs. Better narrative is to say, the Chiefs are lucky.
Why are they lucky? Why are they fortunate?
Andy Reid's been getting lucky for 25 years, apparently.
Well, I say this all the time.
No kidding.
It's easier to pander to 31 fan bases than to one.
Yeah.
That is true.
Like, I mean, my degree is marketing. You're going to always market to the 31 and not the 1. That's just a larger market share. That's what you're going to do. And they understand that 31 other fan bases will get behind them. They'll get riled up, and they will agree with them because they are tired of seeing Kansas City. And it happened with New England for a while, too. I feel like we all forget. Like, we all have amnesia, and we're so poor and so bad at realizing what life was like 5-10 years ago. Now we're seeing this revisionist history of, well, everyone loved the Patriots. No one complained about it. It's so hilarious. What scandals did the Patriots have? And you're like, Aaron Hernandez, what are we doing here? Tom Brady, Deflategate,
Spygate,
the Tuck rule. Like, are we serious here? But people forget they don't like it because they're just mad right now that their team is not winning. So they want to be lumped in with a 31 and to take on. It's David versus Goliath with 31 Davids. But in this narrative, in this storybook, Goliath keeps winning.
Yeah, and I remember, being on the road in 2018 and 2019 with this team, and you go into a city, and the moment that they found out that you're from Kansas City, you cover the team or anything, and immediately it was like, hey, oh gosh, Patrick Mahomes is amazing. He is the Steph Curry of the NFL. He is just so and so. I mean, you just get comparisons all the time to Mahomes and anybody else, and now, somebody finds out you're from Kansas City, and it's starting to become I'm so tired of the Chiefs. I am so tired of Mahomes. I'm so tired of Travis Kelce. I mean, they've become the villains. We know that.
Yeah.
And so, and maybe that's part of the narrative, and that's one of the reasons why. We could have a separate conversation about how stupid the NFL Coach of the Year award is, because it has never been given. Maybe a couple of times, because I guess Belichick won it 3 times or so, but very rarely does it go to the NFL Coach of the Year.
Well, and that was sort of my point is, the first 10 years of Belichick and Brady together, Belichick won 3 Coach of the Year awards. I mean, I know we're talking about like Stefanski has.
Remember,
this
at that time, Tom Brady was just the game manager. It was terrible.
Exactly. Bill Belichick won it in 2003. That was the third year. They had already won a Super Bowl. They had already won a Super Bowl in 01, didn't make the playoffs in 02, and then won the Super Bowl in 03. He was coach of the year in 03. In 2007, they were 16-0. He was coach of the year. Makes sense. I mean, the freaking team's undefeated. He should be coach of the year. 2010, they went 14-2, and he was coach of the year. That's a couple of years after going undefeated. He was coach of the year in 2010. And this is year 7 with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. And he's going to finish second like twice in that time frame for coach of the year and 0 coach of the year awards. It's unbelievable at looking at other reasons why. It's sort of who can we find besides who we think is the best coach in the NFL? Boy, it'd be boring just to give it to Andy Reid every year. Well, it wouldn't be boring to give it to him once with Patrick Mahomes. It's not like they're giving it to him every single year. I mean, he's got 1. Belichick has 3. And Belichick had 3 with Tom Brady. It's not like Belichick got coach of the year after Tom Brady left or coach of the year before Tom Brady. He got all 3 of his coach of the years with Tom Brady as his quarterback. And it wasn't year 1 with Tom Brady.
Not
it
Matt
wasn't
Castle?
When he put Tom Right, but exactly
winning,
right.
Winning
But
11 games with Matt Castle, he should have won coach of the year.
But I mean, also in 2001 with the Bledsoe and Brady back and forth, and he's injured, and who do I put in, and who do I stay with? How much of a coach of the year votes is figuring out that Brady is better than Bledsoe when so many people were going, how could you stay with Brady over what Bledsoe is doing? You paid Bledsoe all this money, and Bill Belichick said, no, Brady's a better quarterback, and I'm staying with that guy. And they won a Super Bowl. That's coach of the year stuff, And Dick Duran won it that year for the Bears. So, because why not? Dick Duran, obviously, a better coaching job that year with the Bears over what Bill Belichick did with Bledsoe and Brady and having to figure that whole thing out and keeping his team together when there was a quarterback controversy and there were Bledsoe, people in the locker room and there were Brady people in the locker room. And they still won a Super Bowl. So, it seems pretty absurd. And I know we're preaching to the choir on this, but I sit back and I scratch my head about why. You know what I mean? Trying to get to the bottom of why the Chiefs win close games and Andy Reid gets no credit for that. Teams that lose close games, they fire coaches.
And I'm trying to glancing at it now, and I'm trying to see if I can remember every year that. But I'm looking at the teams because the Chiefs are the 8th team to win 15 games in a season. So that's distinct company right there. And it's surprising to me that of the coaches that went 15-1, I think it looks like about half of them won coach of the year and half of them didn't. And
Ditka was 15-1 and won coach of the year.
He won coach of the year. Belichick did it
15-1
at 16-0. Ron Rivera won it.
Yeah, but let's be real
3.
now. Kevin Stefanski has 2 Coach of the Year awards, so clearly Stefanski's better than Andy Reid.
Oh, and he's going to win it again next year when the Browns win 10 games.
I've said many times this award has disqualified the fact that Kevin Stefanski has 2 and Mike Tomlin has 0. So, and earlier we were saying like Andy Reid should get a vote, and I was going to jokingly say like, if you're waffling between giving Andy Reid or Mike Tomlin 1 vote, make sure it's Mike Tomlin because he's never won 1 and Andy has only 1. It's like
Matt
it's the most
Nagy has
ridiculous award.
Matt Nagy has won a Coach of the Year, and Mike Tomlin has not. I mean, the award is the award. We're complaining so much about it, but we know what it is.
Well, and even when Matt Nagy won Coach of the Year in 2018, I mean, the Chiefs' total was 8.5 that year with Patrick Mahomes. Because I remember being like, you got to be all over this thing, man. They won 10 games last year with Alex Smith. And Patrick Mahomes looks awesome. And Vegas is missing the boat on this. 8.5? Are you kidding me? Oh, Homer, you just love Patrick Mahomes. We'll see what he actually does when he's the quarterback. They're taking away a guy who's a solid veteran, who was a winner, to put in this gunslinger, Brett Favre, that's going to turn the ball over every other time he throws the ball because I don't actually watch stuff. And they went 12-4. They were 4 games over the total. Matt Nagy, their total was 7.5. And they went 12-4. Like... But it was, there's a new coach, Trubisky, rookie quarterback, taking him. It's a fun storyline, even though Mahomes and the Chiefs were taking the NFL, world by storm in 2018. But Matt Nagy and the Bears, like, this is a fun one. They were supposed to win 7.5. That was the total, and they went 12-4. So we'll give it to Matt Nagy over Andy Reid. It's just like whatever it is, 2022. The Chiefs' total was 10.5, and they won 14 after losing the AFC Championship game and trading away Tyreek Hill. They traded Tyreek Hill, and they went 14-3 that next year. And by the way, the third loss was because they rested everybody at the end of the season. And so they were +4. And Brian Daboll, that their total was 7.5, and they went 9-7.
That's what's amazing to me is that I'm looking at this, and that Brian Dable winning at 9-7-1 has to just be the most disqualifying feature
And Daniel
of
Jones
It was with the
Coach of the
Giants,
Year
though.
award.
It was with the Giants, which that 9 wins for the Giants is like winning 15 games for any other team. Because
Not when Vegas says, hey, it's 7.5. This team is an okay team. Daniel Jones started every single game that year. It was that Brian Daboll was a first-year head coach and was a hot name in the coaching circles, and he got the job with the Giants. And Daniel Jones goes from winning 4 games to going to winning 9 games the next year. So Brian Daboll has to be the coach of the year. When Andy Reid went from trading Tyreek Hill, losing in the AFC Championship game, whatever was going on with the enemy and all the whatever halftime, all of that, turning it around and going in 14-3 and getting the 1 seed when their total was 10.5. But Brian Daboll goes 9-7-1 with Daniel Jones, which, by the way, is a pretty good feat to go 9-7-1 with Daniel Jones. But still, you get the point. They win 2 games more than what their total was, and it goes to Brian Daboll.
But
It's just a find whoever that we think can be a better storyline rather than boring line of Andy Reid.
Just think about, though, how many more games Brian Dable might have won that season had the Chiefs not been so lucky.
They were unlucky. 9-7-1.
They won 9-7-1.
How
If the
unlucky
Chiefs
is it
hadn't been
to
so
tie?
lucky, Brian Dable might have won 13 games that season.
It's so crazy, right? I mean, it's unbelievable. Anyway, enough of that. I was going back and looking, and I'm like, Andy Reid's the third betting favorite at +370. Dan Campbell's +350, and Kevin O'Connell is -280. So he's the heavy favorite is Kevin O'Connell with the Minnesota Vikings.
Which I think he's deserving too, by the way. I think he is deserving too. This year is a little different than other years, where, again, I think this year for sure Andy Reid is deserving. I think Andy Reid, Mike Tomlin, both very deserving candidates. But if I had a vote right now and you told me who is the most deserving, I think Andy Reid would probably be top 3, but I think I probably still would go Kevin O'Connell number 1. The job he's done for a team in a division that is outstanding, right? The NFC North, at least 3 teams have been outstanding, including theirs. But the expectations for the Vikings were horrendous this year. No one thought they were going to do anything, especially when J.J. McCarthy went out. It was, oh my gosh, throw in the towel this year. And yet there they are, legit chance at the 1 seed. I give Kevin O'Connell a ton of credit.
Yeah, their total this year was 6.5. So they're 13-2 right now. I can understand why Kevin O'Connell was number 1, and if Kevin O'Connell wins it, I don't really have a beef the way that I would in Brian Daboll year or a Ron Rivera year with Andy Reid's first year going from the number 1 seed or number 1 pick to then the playoffs, things like that. Dan Campbell, I do have a beef with. Why is that team had the same total as the Chiefs to start the season, and the Chiefs have 2 more wins than they do. Why? Because Aiden Hutchinson got hurt. Yeah, I mean, that matters. I guess you're right. Dan Campbell had to overcome an injury. Luckily, Andy Reid hasn't had to. This Chiefs team has been completely healthy all year long. So that injury thing, oh, wait, no, they haven't. So, I mean, whatever. He's not going to win it. Kevin O'Connell's going to win it. He may get a first-place vote. I don't think he will. It'll be Kevin O'Connell. Dan Campbell will get maybe 1 or 2, and we'll just go into next year, and the Chiefs will be 3-time Super Bowl champions, and we'll wonder if Andy Reid will ever get a Coach of the Year award with the Chiefs as Patrick Mahomes is his quarterback. And that's what we'll do. And I think Andy Reid will like holding the Lombardi Trophy over the Coach of the Year trophy.
Well, and apparently Mike Florio has a vote in one of these, so I'm sure I can't wait to see who he votes for.
Yeah, and I know that it's a regular season award. I get that. But, I mean, we're talking about since 1986 when Bill Parcells won Coach of the Year for the New York Giants and they won the Super Bowl. We're talking about 2 coaches. Vermeil in 99 with the Rams and Belichick in 03 with the Patriots are the only Coach of the Years that won the Super Bowl. I get it. It's a regular season award. Understandable. But, none of these coaches are winning the Super Bowl. Andy Reid is. He'll take that exchange. We need to exchange this conversation for a timeout. We'll come back. We'll get Matt's thoughts on this Chiefs team, how they're playing right now. Is there a theme to the DVOA? We talked a little bit about this yesterday, what we've seen from this team as of late and the 4 best games that they've put together in terms of DVOA. Is Joe Thuney the left tackle moving forward? Concerns with Harrison Butker, some other things to get into as well. Matt Derrick, Chiefs Digest 41 is the Mike Podcast. We continue with more from Matt next. some rest. Week 1, first game of the season, rested, extra time to prepare. Last 2 weeks, you win 2 games, you get the number 1 seed. Sort of playoff mentality. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, and I mean, I would probably throw in another factor, and I think this is just even more of the coach factor, is that I think in 2 of those games you're talking about having extra time to prepare, which against Andy Reid, you don't want to give him extra time. And 2, I think that the second worst time to face Andy Reid, other than when he's got extra time, is when you have even less time. So both those games were also on short weeks and short turnarounds. So, and one of them was on a really short turnaround.
Yeah.
And
right. Against a guy who is considered a good coach in Mike Tomlin.
And of course, I mean, the Texans game, you can probably maybe you just throw that out as the outlier because the Texans are not very good. The Texans are a 500 team in a terrible, terrible division.
What happened to the Texans? Because they have a lot of talent. There's a lot of injuries. It's the offensive line. I mean,
but I think that they're still shell-shocked from my belief is that Tank Dell injury was very weighing on a lot of their
No, but
team.
prior to that, I'm 100% with you with C.J. Stroud.
That would be my explanation for Christmas Day.
Yeah, Christmas
I think
Day
that was
is
a quick
fine.
turnaround.
That's fine, but the totality of the season, Houston was supposed to take that step forward. They were almost following in the Detroit Lions' footsteps, right, of a young, up-and-coming team, good head coach. C.J. Stroud was clearly the best quarterback, rookie quarterback last year. I mean, historic numbers as a rookie. He has weapons, a lot of defensive pieces. Will Anderson Jr. is actually still having a very nice season. Danielle Hunter is being brought in. You bring in also the veterans, guys like Danico Autry, and yet something just has not clicked. Something hasn't worked. Again, I know the offensive line is atrocious, but I still don't understand the Houston Texans as a team right now.
My hot take? I was going to say, my super hot scorching take is that, I mean, C.J. Stroud's a good quarterback. He's not Josh Allen. He's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Justin Herbert. I think he's Alex Smith. I mean, I might be proven wrong.
Man, I really disagree with that take.
I think he's a good quarterback. I just don't think he's a great quarterback. Maybe if he, gets into maybe he gets the right offensive coordinator at some point, can tap into him or something. Maybe
I think he's closer to Justin Herbert than anything else. I think C.J. Stroud is a borderline top 5 quarterback in the NFL right now.
Ooh, I could not go with that.
I don't agree with that.
I would put him above. No. I would say like him and Herbert. You could.
Yeah,
you could
100%.
I'd take Herbert over Stroud.
I would too.
I wouldn't argue that, but also I would.
Yeah.
I think the Texans would be better with Herbert than they would with Stroud this year.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the Chargers would be out of the playoffs.
That's a hot scorching take, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think.
I know he's had a bad year this year, but man, you guys are. Yeah. I don't know if you guys are forgetting what he did as a rookie or not, but he was incredible.
He didn't turn the ball over.
He was awesome.
That was what he did as a rookie. I mean, his numbers were not like, awesome. It wasn't like he went out and threw for 5,000 yards or anything.
No, but 4,100 yards as a rookie in 15 games, averaging 275 yards a game is pretty darn good.
It was a really good season. And he's not, but he is not better this year. I mean,
no, he's taken a step back, and I think again the offensive line's played a big factor. But
here's what I would say is that I think he's probably just as good as he was last year. It's just that some of his numbers last year were this was maybe more of the reversion to the mean season.
And then we'll see moving forward. We'll see. He had a really good season, and now he's had a bad season.
I would love to have somehow a little bet between Stroud versus Herbert. I would take Stroud's side. I would love to have. Again, I think Herbert's a really good quarterback. I'm very high on CJ. I would love to have a little. I don't know how you would do this because different teams, playoff wins is such a oversaturated because it's we're talking quarterbacks. They have the biggest impact. How can we determine this? I want to find a way. I want to throw something down with you guys.
We'll figure it out. That'll be an off-season conversation.
QBR. There you go.
In the off-season, but maybe I'm reading too much into it, Matt. But what I'm gleaning from that is first game of the season against Baltimore. You're coming out ready to go. San Francisco, you got the bye. You're fresh. Houston and Pittsburgh. After Buffalo beat Detroit, you beat Houston. You beat Pittsburgh. You've got the 1 seed. You are the 1 seed. It's sort of like a playoff push. and they go out there and play what Andy Reid said are the two most complete games he has felt like they have played this year. Offense and defense, because special teams was clearly lacking in that game against Pittsburgh with the too many men on the field and the missed extra point and things like that. So that was and the fumbled punt. That the special teams was lacking. But maybe I'm reading too much into it, and I'm gleaning from that, and I'm looking at it, and the theme I'm coming away with, Matt, is essentially leading into the playoffs when it will be uber motivation, ultra motivation in the divisional round, and rested and extra time, while the other teams will be playing playoff football the next couple 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, and here's an interesting question. I mean, I'll be interested in what you two think, and I wonder what General Chiefs
Sterling
fan
thinks
would
C.J.
think.
Stroud is the answer.
But what's your, I mean, with just the way that this team has played of late, and taking into consideration the whole body of the season too, I mean, what is your confidence of this team winning a Super Bowl this year?
Much more confident than it was a couple of weeks ago. But even after that Cleveland game, Matt, you and I didn't talk on Friday, but after that Cleveland game, I started that Monday saying last year the Chiefs, what they did in the playoffs, completely changed the way that I view the regular season, because that Christmas Day game was so bad and everything was broken and it was on fire. And I did the show from Louisville on the day after Christmas, and they're 21-1 since I did that show, which was, the sky was falling. And so after watching that and seeing what they do in the playoffs, it completely changed the way that I viewed things. And I said after Cleveland, Matt, that I don't think when it comes time to win games and you have to win, that Patrick Mahomes is going to pass up on open receivers to take chances on second level and deep shots. He's going to take profits. He will take what's there. They will move the chains. It's what he does in the postseason. He doesn't pass up on open receivers. And against Cleveland, he did it multiple times. The deep shot to Justin Watson, whether that was Cleveland or Houston, I can't remember which one that was. But the deep shot to Xavier Worthy, looking right past Travis Kelce. There were a few other plays in that Cleveland game. And what I've seen the last 2 weeks is Patrick Mahomes saying, oh, here's the read, there's the guy, I'm going to throw the ball. And it's why it's been his two quickest times to throw, from snap to throwing the ball this season, and against Pittsburgh was his number one fastest time in his career of snap to average throwing the football, because here's what I see from the defense, here's my read, this is the way where the ball goes, boom, throw it, let's go. I'm not going to hold it and run around in the pocket hoping I can get a second and third level. I'm doing what I need to do because there's urgency, we're winning the game, this is a playoff game, we get a bye. That's my takeaway, and that's why I'm extremely confident that the Chiefs can, and I would pick them to win the Super Bowl because of it. Patrick Mahomes, how he plays, this offense, what it's looked like, and the defense coming back around.
And I don't imagine that Andy Reid would, or Patrick Mahomes, anybody with this team would put it into these terms. But, I go back to, the way that Andy Reid reviews training camp, preseason games. I mean, he doesn't care what happens, what the outcomes are. I mean, that's for him and for his quarterbacks. I mean, it goes back to rookie year with Patrick Mahomes. He didn't care about practice interceptions because that's what testing your windows. It's about learning what you can get away with, what you can and can't do. I think the Chiefs have progressed now to the point where that's what the regular season is for too, is figuring out what you can do, what you can get away with. Because, I mean, I think at this point, and Patrick has talked about how last year was kind of boring for him during the regular season, that it wasn't a lot of fun.
They're trying to make it more fun for Patrick.
Wasn't a lot of fun. And, and this year, hey, have they won some games maybe they shouldn't have? Yes. Did they lose some games last year that maybe they shouldn't have?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
So is the reality that, hey, this is what last year's team wasn't an 11-6 team. Maybe this year's team isn't 15-1. Maybe the reality is that you put these two teams together, they're 13-4, 14-3 kind of football teams. Doesn't matter. I mean, either one of those are Super Bowl caliber teams. So what the regular season record really doesn't, on a 2-year average, probably doesn't matter. I mean, they're probably the same team. It's just that one record was a little better and one record was a little worse the year before. I mean, I don't think it's not like this is like we're talking about a 10-7 football team that's gone 15-1. I I mean, that's not what we're talking about at all. I mean, I think this is just a really good football team that this year's gotten away with some wins. Maybe they should have lost, but I think there's also reasons why they won those games. But I also think that they're going to go 15-2, maybe 16-1 without playing their best football because they saved their best football for January.
Well, and I also think, too, when you've played so many extra games versus every other team in the NFL because you're perpetually going deep into the playoffs and winning and playing in Super Bowls, that takes a toll on the body, right? When you have a Week 6 bye and you have to continuously play all of these games, your body gets tired. So maybe we didn't see some of the best football from Kansas City because they are tired. They are more banged up than the majority of other teams. I think when the doldrums of the season, I don't think you're getting up for the Panthers. I don't think you're getting up for even the Raiders now at this point. It's hard to get up for the Browns at this point when you're used to playing in Super Bowls. There is a larger goal at hand for Kansas City. It's more difficult for them, so maybe you don't see their best football, right? Because let's be real, when teams play Kansas City in the regular season, that a lot of times is the biggest game that those teams are going to play all year.
Correct.
The Chiefs don't feel that way. Right? So, again, I think there can be that aspect into it as well as of why you see the Chiefs play so many close games. Because, again, they understand they have bigger aspirations at hand. And Jason, you say it so well, and I think it's such a good point, is but when they need it, late in games, when they need something to happen, they almost always get it. It's like we'll go 75% for the first 3 quarters, 3.5 quarters. But if we need something, we're gonna go ahead and get it. We can turn it up. We can turn it up to 11 pretty quick, right? It's an amplifier. We can turn that bad boy to 11.
It's Usain Bolt running the 200 in qualifying. He can slow up. He can coast around the turn while he's looking around at everybody because he doesn't have to even win the heat to qualify for the final. But when the final comes, it's all out. Yes. It's full on as fast as he can run. There's a little bit of that. And also, that final bow on the theme. Baltimore Week 1, rematch of the AFC Championship game. San Francisco after the bye, rematch of the Super Bowl. Last 2 weeks, you win those games, you get the 1 seed, and you're off in the bye week. There's some motivation there. Those are the best games they've played in DVOA this year, 1 through 4. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. Is Joe Thuney the left tackle moving forward? We'll get Matt Derrick's thoughts on that next. he the left tackle moving forward, or is he just a placeholder until DJ Humphries gets healthy, and they're going to go back to DJ Humphries at left tackle if he's healthy, and Joe Thuney at left guard? Or should they do what I would like them to do and just, if it ain't broke, don't fix it? Joe Thuney's my left tackle moving forward. What do you think?
I mean, it feels to me a bit similar to last year when Donovan Smith had the stinger at the end of the season and was dealing with it, and you had Wanya Morris playing for him at the end of the season. But once you got to the playoffs, Donovan Smith was back out there. I feel it's a little bit the same way. I mean, even though we haven't seen a lot of DJ Humphries, hasn't been here all season. I'm still convinced that the Chiefs are going to go back to DJ Humphries, but Joe Thuney, I mean, because I think that's their best. That's the best version of their line. I mean, Joe Thuney has been good at left tackle. Don't get me wrong, but he's one of the best in the biz at left guard. So, I mean, I think you are a little bit weaker without Joe Thuney at left guard, but that's going to depend on how healthy DJ Humphrey is and how much he can go. If he can't, I mean, if he's still not 100%. Then yeah, I mean, I think you would have to roll with Joe Thuney, but giving him 3 more weeks, giving him potentially, I mean, we're talking about at this point 23 more days until maybe the Chiefs are playing a playoff game. That if that's not enough time for DJ Humphries to get up to speed, that'd be a concern. So I think he will play in that playoff game. I think he'll be the starter at left tackle.
Who would you want to go? Because I think he will too. I think the Chiefs are going to go with DJ Humphries. I want them to stay with Joe Thuney.
I think that's the best version of their offensive line is with DJ Humphries at left tackle and Joe Thuney at left guard.
Yeah. I mean, if DJ Humphries can give you what Joe Thuney's giving you, then yeah, I would take that. I just don't know if he can. I mean, he hasn't played in a year except for the one game, and he was okay. He had some good reps. He had some bad reps. And Joe Thuney, after the first week against Cleveland and Myles Garrett and getting reacclimated to left tackle, has played some pretty darn good football at left tackle. And he stymied Alex Highsmith. And they didn't have to give him much help. It wasn't like we saw at times where they were only giving help to the left side, and it was like, oh my God, Wanya and Kingsley, you gotta have 2 guys over there no matter what. Like Joe Thuney was just simply mirroring Alex Highsmith, and Highsmith did almost nothing, and it was his 4th lowest pass rushing grade since the beginning of 2022 and his lowest of the season. And I just think Joe Thuney, more and more at left tackle, is the best left tackle on the team. And if the best left tackle on the team, I want that guy to play left tackle, and I'll figure out left guard.
Your mileage may vary. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Who wins this weekend, Chiefs or Broncos? Oh, wait, that's right.
Oh, wait. I'm going with the Chiefs this weekend
9
because
more
they're not
days.
playing anybody.
Yeah.
I'll go with the bye.
You know what?
I'll take the bye.
The bye?
The bye gets it, yeah.
Well, by the way, if the Broncos beat the Bengals, the Broncos are probably more invested in resting their players against the Chiefs, right?
Well, this could be a real rest-off.
Because, I mean, they wouldn't get a bye week, and they punch a ticket by beating the Bengals this weekend, right? The Broncos do?
Yes, correct.
Because the Broncos have to lose out, and the Bengals have to win out, and the Dolphins have to win out. All of those things need to happen for the Broncos not to make the playoffs. So if they win, they're in the playoffs, and they would not get a bye. So they would need to rest some players, and they'd pretty much be the 6th or 7th seed anyway.
Zach Wilson time, baby.
Zach Wilson, Carson Wentz.
And crazy things can happen. I mean, everything could fall apart for the Denver Broncos because I saw a holiday touchdown at Chiefs Love Story, and that's exactly what happened for the Chiefs.
You're the man, Matt. Appreciate it. We'll talk next week, brother. Happy New Year.
automotive.com to see the latest deals. Experience the Crown difference.
That's right. It's time to talk with Kendall Gammon here. Sports Radio 810 WHB. The Zone, 2 more hours to go. Let's talk some Chiefs football. Kendall Gammon joining us. Kendall, what is up, brother? How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Jason, yourself?
I am doing just fine. Had a great week. Good holiday. How was your Christmas with the family, Kendall?
It was wonderful. I did a few things here. Going to do a few more things with my boys here on Sunday, just because as you get older, more families are involved and deal with things. But it's been wonderful. I can't complain at all.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. The Chiefs became the Christmas Day game yet again. So back-to-back years for the Chiefs on Christmas Day. How was your viewing experience? Let's go with that. How was your viewing experience of the Chiefs on Christmas Day? Certainly a lot better than what it was last year. I know that was the case for me and the rest of Chiefs Kingdom, certainly.
Yeah, it really was. Well, let's start with the fact that Netflix, everything was fine from that end of things. What 27 million watching something to that the nature. So I would say it's a success. As far as the team goes, it's just amazing. I thought Pittsburgh would put up more of a fight than they did, but I do realize that they had not been playing great as of late. But just amazing to me that you're 15-1, you've won all kinds of different ways, and it would appear, at least from this last game, that the Chiefs are starting to ascend at exactly the right time.
So you would know this as playing all those games in your career. What they accomplished by winning 3 games in 11 days, and the last 2 games being maybe, as Andy Reid has said, their most complete games, offense and defense combined, beating Houston, and then 4 days later knocking off the Pittsburgh Steelers. 3 games in 11 days like the Chiefs did. What kind of feat is that for them to accomplish?
Well, it's amazing for all the reasons you said, and then the fact that a game before that, the starting QB, Patrick Holmes, had to be life-flighted off the field roughly because of that ankle. And then he comes in there and they just go after it. And I don't know what you and Sterling saw, but in times when they would show Mahomes, he seemed even more focused these last couple of games than I've seen in the past. Knowing what this meant, to get the number 1 seed, probably knowing what it meant for him to get, essentially 2 weeks of rest. And it's been amazing for so many different reasons. The fact that the Chiefs defense taking the ball away, that they do some good things with Chris Jones, that Marquise Hollywood Brown does much more than I ever would have expected.
See if we can try to reconnect with Kendall there as Hollywood Brown coming in, and it looks like he's made somewhat of a difference for this Chiefs offense. And we discussed it a little bit yesterday.
He just got so choked up,
Brown's
Jason. He got so choked up talking about it. That's what it was.
No, I mean, the way they're playing, you just get overwhelmed with emotion in watching him. It's like watching a child grow up right before your eyes.
Well,
I wonder playing much better football.
I wonder if he, as a long snapper, when he talks, he just spins his phone, a whole bunch of rotations, and maybe his finger hit the end call button. That's logical, I think. Or he's juggling it.
3.5 rotations.
And he's a big juggler.
3.5 revolutions for every answer.
Yeah.
Yep. Every answer, 3.5 revolutions. Every single answer. And that's. That was the spin back to the ball.
Kendall, are you back now? Are you back, Kendall?
Kendall?
Yeah,
is he here?
And as I was saying, when the ball goes back, it spins 3.5 revolutions, so the laces will be out each and every time.
Do you do it with your phone, though? Was that how you press the end button? Were you spinning your phone and your finger pressed it?
3.5 times.
I was thinking generally that most people, when they talk to me, will say goodbye, but you guys just left, and so I don't know what was going on. Technical difficulties, and let's be honest. Back up,
usually it's when
long snapper. We don't know much.
Usually on the other side, when I'm talking to somebody, they're like, "Yeah, no, I get. Oh, you're breaking up. We gotta go."
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay, well, that's fine. Sorry, honey. I was just calling to see what you're up to today. But never mind. You were talking about, you had left off. I think you were getting towards the end of your conversation about what you had seen the last couple of weeks. But you had mentioned Hollywood Brown and maybe a little bit more from Hollywood these last couple of weeks than you thought he might have offered this team in the first 2 games he's played this year.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know what you guys think, but from what I saw, for sure. And I'm curious this week on whether he plays or not, because obviously I would think certainly Patrick won't be playing. So do you just rest him more, or do you keep him in the flow of the game? But I think the great thing is that really the Chiefs haven't had to show that much with him in there. So he's kind of a wild card for defenses to defend when they go into the playoffs, which I think is a fabulous thing. As we've said all along, when he comes back, he's going to have fresh legs. And to me, it shows.
No, that's a really good point about a couple of games where he's getting reacclimated and everything, and then you can bust out some of the fun designs that you might have had earlier in training camp that now there's nothing to hold back. All right, you're rolling. You got Houston or Pittsburgh more than likely in the divisional round, and then more than likely in the AFC Championship game, it'll be Buffalo or Baltimore, the winner of that one. So if everything holds to form, it would be nice if the Chiefs don't have to face both Buffalo and Baltimore, whereas those two teams would have to face both Baltimore and the Chiefs or Buffalo and the Chiefs if you're looking at Baltimore's perspective. So that would be huge. You mentioned Patrick Mahomes and looking more focused. Do you think there's an element of when that injured ankle happens, and we've seen it before, that there's more of a I do have to just simply go with what the play is, what my read is on this, and go through the progressions, trust the offensive line, because there isn't going to be as much of scrambling and running because of the pain that's there? Is there a little bit of that, of almost he feels a little more stationary, and then the flow of the offense and taking a profit happens a little more often than, you know what, it's open right there, but I feel like if I get out this way, we might have something down the field. And I don't know if that's going through Patrick Mahomes' head or not. I'm just wondering from your perspective, do you see something different when Mahomes has an ankle injury, which we've seen a number of times the last 3 years?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of all that, Jason. I think the big thing is he knows, he's been in this league long enough, but I'm sure he's being drilled by Coach Reed, which is, listen, you've got to get the ball out of your hands quick. And I was thinking, this first game back a couple games ago, after the injury, I was just like, yeah, he's definitely got to do that stuff. And then, of course, he promptly goes out and scrambles and goes into the end zone for the first rushing touchdown of the game. You're just like, man, it's amazing. But I think in general, he just knows how important it is for him to be as healthy as possible so he can do the things he wants. I think when you see him get the most frustrated is when his body is banged up a little bit and he's not able to do everything that he wants to do, because when he can, he's just obviously the most dangerous person in football.
Yeah, visiting with Kendall Gammon. He is presented by Crown Toyota and Crown Volkswagen. Let's talk offensive line, Kendall. We ended the conversation with Matt Derrick discussing the left tackle play over the last few weeks with Joe Thuney playing at left tackle, filling in for DJ Humphries, who was filling in for Wanya Morris, who was filling in for Kingsley Suamata'i, if we go back to the beginning of the year. But Joe Thuney, left tackle, from being a left guard his entire career in the NFL. Played left tackle his senior year at North Carolina State, and by the way, was a first-team All-American. USA Today first-team All-American at left tackle. So it wasn't like he was just an average left tackle that everybody said, he's definitely a guard in the NFL. He didn't allow a sack his senior year as a left tackle. So it's not like this is something he's never done before. But, Kendall, he's been playing guard his entire career. Can you try to, put into words the difficulty of what Joe Thuney is doing and playing at a really good level of left tackle from being a guy that's been a left guard, and just the difference of those two positions and moving one spot out and what the change is?
Yeah, I really can't say how – I can't overstate how difficult it is. I mean, guard to tackle, special left tackle, is so different in so many different ways. Your sets, where you're going to line up, how long on your drop back set for pass protection are you going to keep that inside foot facing forward before you can actually turn and commit if you think that they're going outside? Because if you commit too early, then all of a sudden they have the inside move, and these edge rushers these days, they know everything going on. Joe Thuney, also the fact that, I don't mean this in a bad way, you couldn't have, in my estimation, a much worse tackle body. I mean, he's just not built for tackle, yet as you mentioned, at his senior year, he doesn't give up a sack. Well, that's because he's just a superior player, and he can get away back then. But what he's doing now, to me, is amazing. Now, he is giving up some pressures, but he's not, people aren't whiffing and going right by him. So I think it's huge. But as far as, dealing with the twist games and everything on the edge, that's very, very difficult because now you're doing different. I mean, if he has somebody slant to his inside, he's really got to slam that guy, not let him get penetration because then the guard has to come over. But again, then that's Caliendo, who hasn't played as much until lately. And I know he's doing a fine job, but he's not Joe Thuney. So I don't know. I think it's interesting. I didn't get to hear you all talking with Derek of what they do, not only this week, but into the playoffs if DJ Humphries does get healthy. At first, I've been saying a few weeks ago that they can get by with Thuney, but if they really want to go somewhere in the playoffs, Humphries has to play tackle, and you need to strengthen that inside three with Thuney to left guard. Now I'm not so sure, and that's it's a decision by Andy Reid, and I'd say in concert with Patrick Mahomes to see what he feels the most comfortable with. And I think Andy would get the final vote, obviously, but I also know that he's listening to Patrick and what he thinks. But it's amazing. Back to what Thuney's done. I mean, that's something you do very often. I mean, if you had Trey Smith on the right side going to tackle, I mean, he's got a body that looks like a tackle body. I know he's played tackle early in his career at Tennessee, and I don't think it went very well. But all the same, Thuney, what he's doing, pretty amazing.
In bowling, when you bring out one of those bumper rails or whatever that you can pull out so you don't have a gutter ball, right? I'm not saying it's like this, but it's a little bit. It feels, at least from the novice, never played the position before. It looks a little bit like bowling with some bumper rails by being a guard with a center to your right and a tackle to your left, as opposed to, well, now you're out more on an island. You can get beat to the left with a gutter. You can get beat to the right side if you're having to drop that far back on a speed rusher. You can get beat to the right with a gutter. It's more of bowling without those sort of bumper guards up.
I think that's a very good analogy, absolutely. And I just think a lot of that you have to have the physical tools, obviously, but a lot of it is mindset. And I think Joe Thuney's just in the mindset that he knows what he can do, what he can get away with, and there's just so much experience there that he can do it at a good enough level that even though there's open gutters on either side, he can still do it enough and understand. I think probably even more so understand where he can afford to get beat and where he can afford and where he cannot afford to get beat.
Yeah, and he's incredibly intelligent. And it's one of the smartest players in the NFL. The guy does a Rubik's Cube in 50 seconds. So
does he really? I did not know that. God, I learn something every day.
It's like, that's absurd, right? To do a Rubik's
really
Cube in 50 seconds. I mean, I couldn't do one in 50 days, I think. I'm not sure. I would just sit here staring at it and trying to figure out what is going on. But yeah, this guy is that smart, so he's able to adjust in some of those things. And Mitchell Schwartz, who was a guy that played the position at a high level, the right side, but played tackle at a high level. Mitchell Schwartz tweeted out after the game was over on Christmas and said that Joe Thuney has been the best left tackle on the Chiefs since they signed him, even though he's been left guard.
Yeah,
he said Joe Thuney's been the best left tackle for the Chiefs since they signed him. I thought that was an interesting take by Mitchell Schwartz.
Well, and I mean, where are you going to get a better take of somebody who knows what's going on and really has a feel for the position? So, yeah, that goes a long ways towards things. And that says a lot about Joe Thuney, and it says a lot, honestly, about the left tackles we've had.
Well, and let me ask you this, too, because I believe Matt, Derek, and I agreed, and I think Sterling is probably in this boat as well, that when DJ Humphries is healthy, the Chiefs are going to put DJ Humphries at left tackle and Joe Thuney at left guard. So Joe Thuney is playing in place of DJ Humphries, and if healthy, the offensive line is going to be left tackle Humphries, left guard Joe Thuney. And so I would rather them stay with Joe Thuney. I don't feel like it's broke, so I wouldn't fix it at this point. One thing that I do wonder, Kendall, how much can you acclimate to a quarterback's cadence in practice as opposed to a game? Because that was something that popped up in the game that DJ Humphries played in, is he was late a couple of times with Patrick Mahomes' cadence. a false start, like getting used to those things where in the playoffs divisional round, Joe Tooney's going to know exactly the cadence, and his get off is going to be timed with the snap, and he's not going to be late and get beat around the edge by somebody because he was just a little bit slow in the cadence from Patrick Mahomes. That would be my concern with DJ Humphries of playing in what would be just his second game with Patrick Mahomes the next time he plays. If that's the divisional round, even if he plays next Sunday against the Broncos, it won't be with Patrick Mahomes. How much can you acclimate and get used to the sound of a quarterback and a cadence in practice as opposed to needing those game reps?
I think that's a good question, obviously, and I think if you have that full week, and he's been here a few weeks before then, I think he would be okay with that. I would be more concerned if they were going to be on the road, which they will not be, if they were dealing with the noise also. But in general, I don't think that's the biggest issue. I think just the biggest issue is he fully healthy, and does he feel comfortable with everything? And he's, you hope that he's not going up to the line of scrimmage and still thinking, which is to say things aren't automatic. And that's probably never going to be perfect, and certainly wouldn't be like it is if he'd been here for years. But as long as he feels comfortable with that, I think the cadence thing shouldn't be a big deal for him.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I would think so as well, but I didn't know how much you can sort of do that in practice.
That's a fair question. I mean, I think that's some things that a lot of people don't think about is those little minute things sometimes. But again, as I said, at home, I think it's not a big deal. On the road, it could be.
Do you think, or I'll say, how much do you think that Andy Reid will? Let me rephrase this. This Broncos game, they have another bye after that. It's 23, 24 games between that divisional round. So how many players, a lot of them, all of them, just the main players, do you think Andy Reid rests against the Broncos knowing that the next time they play would be more than 3 weeks from the last time they played a football game that had any sort of meaning? How do you approach this if you're Andy Reid?
Well, that's a tough one. I mean, we can all agree. You guys have probably gone through it. Obviously, Mahomes doesn't play. Kelsey doesn't play. Chris Jones doesn't play. I think but the fact is, and you guys have talked about this, you got 53 players. This isn't college, so you can't play all your backups, and you have to have a plan. I think some of the starters, obviously a good amount of the starters will play a little bit, I would think, but then you just maybe have a rotation where they're maybe only playing half as many plays as they normally would. I mean, your quote stars and difference makers, it's just complete rest for that. So I think that's what it comes down to. But I think that's the question of the week, quite honestly. And the other one, obviously, you guys probably talked about is, who's designing, who's calling the plays, who's designing the everything going on this week offensively for Kansas City, and I would say that's going to be Nagy for sure. I would think I've heard in the past that in times like this, some meetings, Big Red isn't even in. He's still studying other things, and he's getting a jump on it, and him having a jump on it, that's not fair to the NFL. So that's another reason that the getting that first round bye is so important, not just for the players' physical health and mental health, but for Andy Reid having more time to study film.
Yeah, I would like Andy Reid to spend the next few weeks studying the Texans, Steelers, Bills, and Ravens, and let Matt Nagy and the other coaches take care of the Broncos.
Absolutely. And he's done that in the past, hasn't he, Jason? I think he's talked about it. It's good because, he's calling the plays for the most part. And now all of a sudden the quote-unquote offensive coordinator, who doesn't really, now has a chance to do these things himself. I think he did that with Bieniemy a few times as well, and I think it's pretty cool. I mean, I would say completely unlike a lot of other coaches, but Andy really pushes hard to help people be successful if they want to be. I mean, he loves to have them stay with the Chiefs, but if their goal is to get somewhere else and do something, it seems like he's always up for that as well, probably because he's been in these coaching trees, has been helped by so many other legends as well.
Visiting with Kendall Gammon, where's your confidence level? The next time we talk, we'll get a prediction on the Broncos game, and we'll know if the Broncos are going to be resting players, because if they win this weekend, then they would have punched their ticket to the playoffs, and they may rest players because they won't get a bye that next week. And so we'll have an idea about that. But where's your confidence at this point right now in what this team can do in the playoffs in the postseason and a not only a Super Bowl contender, but one of the now Super Bowl favorites that the world has finally began spinning back on its axis, that the Chiefs aren't, fourth and fifth betting favorites to win the Super Bowl, that people are like, oh, wait, this team that keeps winning is pretty good. Oh, then maybe we should move them up when it comes to Super Bowl betting favorites. That seems like the smart thing to do.
Yeah, exactly. When you say that, in the divisional game, we play either the Texans or the Steelers, and then in the championship game, the Ravens or the Bills. I mean, when you say that, I'm like, well, sounds to me like the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl, playing these games at home, and that's
Two
really
wins away.
It amazes me because I don't get scared of that. I'm not as scared of the Detroit Lions as I was earlier because they've just had a rash of injuries that it hasn't helped. Now you start to you wonder about Minnesota, you wonder about Green Bay, and certainly the Eagles. I mean, that's the team I was kind of looking at for a while until they kind of had a little bit blip on the radar also. So I don't see how you can pick against the Chiefs in any of these games unless there's just some type of injury that might skew it a little bit.
Yeah, the Chiefs, I think, in the last 3 weeks have gone from the fifth betting favorite to now the betting favorite to win the Super Bowl. So they've moved up to number one. So your opportunity to get great value on the Chiefs has gone away. So if you were going to bet,
I just like to say also, Jason, that I just want to say also that I did not use any spreadsheets to come up with that. Yet I came up with the same idea that Vegas had. So I'm feeling pretty good about that.
Exactly right. Sometimes it needs spreadsheets. Sometimes you just need the experience of playing in the NFL and being a guy with a brain. Kendall Gammon is our guest, presented by Crown Toyota, Crown Volkswagen. Kendall, any New Year's plans for New Year's Eve plans for Tuesday night?
I'll just we'll have dinner with a few friends, and as they always say, let the amateurs enjoy the night. That's not really my deal. As you're probably experiencing a little bit, Jason, and I don't know about you, Sterling, but for me, the older I get, the less I drink, and so it'll be somewhat quiet.
Yeah, I'm with you, Kendall. I don't need an excuse to drink. Like New Year's,
Exactly.
sorry, you're right. It is for the amateurs. I'm not trying to go out. It's dangerous. I'll host a party, fine, but I'm not going to one. I'm not leaving my house. I'm not risking it. And
nope.
Again, you know me. I like my adult beverages, but New Year's Eve, nah, staying at home.
Yeah, we stay at home too.
Speaking to the choir.
My wife and I, we chill, stay quiet. We get sushi every New Year's Eve. That's what we do.
Oh, nice.
And that's our sort of thing. And hang out and watch the shows. And I'll be watching some football as well with the playoff game, the first semifinal game that'll be taking place, or first quarterfinal game, I should say, that'll be taking place on Tuesday night. And then we'll try to wake up the kids at 11:58 or so, and the ball drops, and then we go to bed. That's our
There
night.
you go.
If we can stay awake till midnight. That's always a tough one the older you get.
Exactly.
That's what I found. The older you get, the tougher it is to stay awake till midnight. You're like, God, it's still 2 hours away? Oh, my God. I'm so old, Kendall. What's going on, man?
Trust me.
It used to be at 10:30 is when we would when we start heading out. Remember that? At 10:30,
Yes.
like, all right, now let's go. We've been pre-partying, and now it's 10:30, 11 o'clock. Let's get to the party now. Now it's like I'm trying to keep my eyes open. I'm so old. Ugh, ridiculous. Kendall Gammon, Crown Toyota, Crown Volkswagen. Kendall, you're the man as always. Happy New Year to you and yours, brother, and we will talk next week.
You bet, guys. Have a great day.
Absolutely. There's Kendall Gammon, presented by Crown Toyota, Crown Volkswagen. We'll take a time out. We'll come back. We'll hang out with Mick Schaefer, KSHB 41 sports director, get his thoughts on some college football, some NFL, some documentaries, some other things as well. Mick Schaefer joins us on the other side of the break. That's Kendall Gammon. We'll take a time out. More Zone next. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, Mick Schaefer hanging out with us here on Sports Radio 810 at WHB on a Friday. Mick, what's up, brother?
Merry Christmas to everybody here. Happy holidays. Good to see you guys.
Yeah. Good to see you, too. Wait a minute. Good to hear from you.
Good to hear.
Great.
Good to sense you in some way. Can't feel you either.
Great to feel the presence in my ear from you.
Sterling always touches me when I come in, so we got our feels in today.
I didn't touch you, I don't think, yet today.
You're a big toucher.
Yeah, but what's wrong with a little touching?
A lot.
Journey
Depends
sang
kind
about
of
it.
where it is and who's doing it.
Well,
I
Journey
can list
sang
some
about
reasons.
it. Touching, loving, squeezing.
Among radio co-hosts? Was that song? Was that about?
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't remember the next
So I
lyric.
don't think that was the context there.
Let me see the lyrics.
I'm pretty sure not.
Loving,
Yeah, I don't think it was.
Coworkers?
Touching, squeezing.
Squeezing.
Writ that?
lyrics.
At work.
I just doubt it. I really just doubt
Loving,
that was the
touching,
case.
squeezing each other. When I'm all alone by myself, you're out with someone else. Loving, touching, squeezing each other's co-hosts. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
yeah,
they
it's in
did.
there.
That was the original version.
Jason, I don't know if you heard the other day, but we wasted a good 10, 15 minutes on trying to remember former Chiefs tight end Sean McGrath.
Sean McGrath, baby. That was
And
one
by
of,
we, I mean
that
Sterling.
was one of the best segments we've ever done on the show. I think was the Sean
Like,
McGrath.
we normally
segment.
waste time on the show, but that took it to a new level.
Come on, that was a good pull, Sean McGrath.
No, it wasn't. You were trying to compare what he looked like to Samaje Perine. Remember that?
Well, because of the beard?
Yeah,
That's it.
they're very. Yeah, I get what you're saying, but like the beard and facial structure is pretty close. It looks like. I feel
Yeah, I
like
guess
maybe.
How can you tell
I guess
under
I
the
wouldn't
beard?
describe Sean McGrath as like, what does he look like? Well, he looks like Samaje Perine. I wouldn't come
I
up
wouldn't
with
start
Sean
there.
McGrath.
Well, he's the white
That's not where I would start.
Samaje. A lot of people call him that.
He's probably 6 inches taller, too.
Probably,
He's a
yeah,
bigger
6'5"
individual,
and 255.
Yeah.
But
I didn't even
the
remember
beard.
him, Jason. I don't remember the
What
guy
is,
who caught
what-
30 passes in a
if-
Chiefs uniform.
If you
for
were
1
to
year.
describe Dylan Michaels, I'd say, well, imagine Samaje Perine.
Imagine, I would
They have a
say,
beard.
I would say, imagine Prince. Okay, we're going to start there.
Yes. So imagine anybody with the ACDC. Think of the guys from ACDC because they have beards.
They
and then
don't.
we're gonna
You're
work
thinking of
back from
ZZ
there.
Top, by the way. By
ZZ Top. Good God,
ACDC.
sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was brutal, Jason.
They probably have a beard at some point in their life. I bet they have had a beard at some
He
point in
wears
their life, right?
a schoolboy's outfit. I'm pretty sure he's clean shaven. No, but Dylan does look a little Sean McGrath-esque a little bit. I'd give you that. I'm basically saying you could catch 30,
I said
26
Samaje
passes for
Perine.
the Chiefs.
All bearded guys don't
You're
look
like a
alike,
child who
Sterling.
can't tell the difference between mall Santa and the real Santa. Just with the beard.
Well,
It's got
Mall
a
Santa
beard.
works for the real Santa.
Yeah.
Mall Santa works for the
Mall
real
Santa works for the real Santa. But anybody with a
Yeah, I
beard
know
like
you're not
that's
the real
Santa.
Santa.
Do you
but I
think
know
do you
you
think
work
Santa's
for him.
union, or how's that work?
Can't be union. He works overtime on those nights. There's no way he's just punching
Yeah,
a clock.
and the elves aren't union either. He won't let him. he won't
That's
let
what I was
him
No
gonna
do
way.
say.
his-
He's
Don't
trying
let
to
him
keep
use
a
there's
union
the
out of his workshop.
minimum
actually.
wage.
Wow.
Right. Yeah.
What do you think
mean,
the elves
gotta
get
pay those
paid?
elves. Nobody's paying.
They
them.
they get to live their lives. They get joy in putting together
That's right.
toys. That's it.
Huh.
You've seen Buddy. You know how much he loves putting toys together. Etch a
They're
sketches.
the happiest people.
Yeah, we're pretty happy.
goodness,
I'll
man.
give him that.
God, to live
But
your
yeah,
life
Sean
like an
McGrath.
elf.
I was thinking James O'Shaughnessy for a while. I don't know how he got there necessarily, but I thought it was James O'Shaughnessy. It was actually Sean McGrath who I was thinking of, yeah.
Okay. It's cool, man.
We're still wasting time on it. We need to have him call in at some point.
We need Sean McGrath to call in.
we need
If,
like
if anyone knows Sean McGrath and wants to have him call into the show, that'd be great.
Okay.
I thought it was the lead singer of Sugar Ray.
That's Mark McGrath.
Yeah.
You know what Mark McGrath's middle name is?
Sean?
That would have been amazing if it was. I wish it was.
You know what
No,
Nickelback
I think
sings? Look at this,
I think-
Sean McGrath.
So dumb.
Every time I do, it makes me laugh. Look at Sean McGrath. He looks like Samaje P. It doesn't work. Does not work. I think I remember right. I think he was named. His middle name is named after Gail Sayers. I'd have to go and look.
So
now
which
I'm
part?
starting to-
Gail or Sayers?
Sayers. I'm now starting.
Yeah, it
to
is.
really
It's
question
Mark
myself.
Sayers McGrath.
That's cool.
Yeah, singer of Sugar
I was-
Ray.
Really starting to question myself there. Am I thinking of AC/DC here, or is it ZZ Top? Oh, Sugar Ray. I always get them mixed up, all the time. Get them mixed up. Mick Schaefer is with us. Mick, how was your Christmas, brother?
Great Christmas. Spent it down in Caldwell, Kansas, where
nice.
The Carhartt down there, that gets dirty. It's used for doing work. It's on the farm. It's not the Carhartt my kids opened up as presents, and it's like going out stuff and like their nicest clothes. So real Carhartt people down there. Had a great time, as
That's
always.
Awesome. Did you do any work on the farm, on the ranch or anything?
No, there's no farm anymore. My dad's a
Like
pharmacist,
milking
and he
cows or
doesn't
anything?
even have a pharmacy anymore. It's just close
Were
to
you
a
pushing
farm.
any weight?
I did not. No, we were all in town the whole time.
Somebody's got to.
My niece,
make money for the presents.
My niece got a taser though.
Wow.
For Christmas.
Nice.
And it was awesome.
Did you tase anyone?
Yes. My son and my brother and my brother-in-law all got tased.
How was it?
Really?
It was hilarious to watch it. I didn't have the cojones to do it.
In the face.
They did it on the cojones?
No, they did not on the butts though, on the back sides.
The cheeks.
Sure, yeah, but it was hilarious.
Did
to
they
see
say it hurt or?
Yeah, it was almost like a stabbing pain, and they were all running off laughing, and it was great. I don't think she had the high power industrial ones that the cops carry around, but it did some damage. It can do some damage. It's gonna if you don't want somebody up on you,
they'll stop.
They'll stop. They won't be up on you anymore.
So when you were tasing these bros, were they standing still or were they running away like that?
They were standing
of the
still.
Guy running and tasing, and he just falls flat, doesn't even move anymore.
My son was like running in place because he was so antsy. And my niece was so sweet and so nice, and she was like, it's like a 17 going 18-year-old niece, not like a 5-year-old. She's going off to college, and so
just in case.
Exactly. And so she was kind of dainty about it, didn't want to get close, and eventually she just like stuck him right there, and he took off running. It was funny.
It's not the kind that has.
I got the videos, Jason. You could. Oh, you're not here.
Oh,
maybe I'll send them to you.
Not the kind that shoots the pointers in.
No, you have to get. Yeah, there's just like you see this blue electrical charge between these two nodes. And it zaps you.
Okay.
Gets you good.
So it's not the one they shoot. Okay, so you got to.
No, you got to be close. Yeah.
I feel like we should do this, and that should be last place in a bet we all do. Like the ZOU's last place gets tased.
Yeah.
By Mick's niece.
Not agreeing to
we'll bring her up.
Okay, sure. Chiefs ZOU's. It's lunch and tased.
Lunch and tased, bro.
No, not for this one. Next one.
Oh, why not?
This one wouldn't be bad. This one wouldn't be bad.
You're so
the real ones, you're down for a couple minutes.
Jason, actually, we can
and
do
you're like
it
paralyzed.
on the rankings for the CFP bracket.
No,
That's what we could do.
we have to do a new one.
we could totally do it
a new one.
not that one either. Why not that one?
Because I've already lost. I'm pretty sure mine is.
You've already lost?
I think I went 2-2.
I went 1-3.
I think I went 3-1.
I went 2-2.
Let's do like maybe Tahoe again next year or something like that. When it's warmer. Yeah. I don't want to get tased
but
when it's cold.
all four of my semifinals, the teams are available still. So I've still got all four of my Final Four teams. They're still there. Okay. Starting from the Sweet 16, I'm glad that I've still got all four Final Four teams.
SMU let me down.
Yeah, they did. Well, really, it's Jennings let you down. SMU may have let you down, but the quarterback giving 14 points to the other team and taking 14 points off the board for his team is tough to overcome.
Some say not ideal. Some say
suboptimal is what I would say that quarterback play was for SMU. And he was a big reason why they came back against Clemson. He was on fire against Clemson. But it was smart for Penn State to have the whiteout because then I think the jerseys blended in with the crowd and he couldn't see who was on his team or not. Couldn't see which guy is on my team. I'm just seeing white helmets. I'm just going to throw the ball. Which, by the way, speaking of white helmets, Mick, here's my transition. K-State, the curse is lifted. The alternate jersey curse, no more. White jerseys or white pants, white helmets, the alternate jersey. Chris Kleiman, 0-5 with alternate jerseys.
I didn't know that they had a curse.
Oh, yeah, that's when Chris Kleiman up on the stage last night said the curse is dead because fans were mad.
They tried their best to continue that curse.
They haven't won.
They tried their best to continue it.
It was funny on Twitter. They were down 34-17. I saw a couple of people were like, maybe they should change. Go change clothes. Change a helmet and pants. Go put the gray helmet, gray on purple on gray. Go your traditional, and go out there and kick some butt instead of white on purple on white. But yeah, there you go. The jerseys, the white helmets and white pants, they got to win, and now they don't have to worry about it. And a couple of players in the locker room, Mick, last night were saying, now I can't wait to see what alternates we can come up with next year because we were not wearing any alternates until it was broken. So they had to win. Maybe that was the motivation. They had to win last night to allow the players to wear alternates next year.
Yeah. Or they could just be adults about it and say none of this matters as far as the winning goes. It's just a gigantic coincidence.
Nope.
Maybe they
matters.
could
It's the
just
color
not
rush, the red on
believe
red.
in
Chiefs,
superstitions like normal, logical grown-ups. How about that?
Nope.
Nope.
Red
That's
on
not an
red is a
alternate?
terrible
Okay.
combination for the
Not an
Chiefs, and they lose. Don't wear red on red.
You're not
The
even a
color
little
rush Chiefs
stitious,
jerseys
Mick?
sucks.
No, I think it's dumb.
Like, there's nothing you do.
Minor
Like, you don't
stitches.
put before you go on.
I used to be that way. Then I kind of sat down and had a conversation with myself. I'm like, what are we doing?
Well,
This
that
is
seems a
dumb.
little weird that you had a conversation with yourself.
Yeah,
That
I
might be
still do
another
that.
issue.
I still talk to myself all the time. But I'm logical about
I don't think
stuff.
I'm superstitious about anything.
I'm not either.
Sterling, you have any superstitions?
I think I used to put one sock on before the other one before playing basketball. Like I put I think it was the
You didn't
right,
put them on right at the same time?
like the right
Don't know how you
sock.
could do
No,
that.
but I had to be one sock
Oh.
before the other one.
I didn't know if you were able to jump into your socks like you were in a cartoon.
Well,
or
I wake
something,
up
you know?
every morning and jump into my pants. You know, people are like I put my pants on one leg at a
Yes, I
time.
know
I'm like,
where
that's
you're going with this,
dumb.
yeah.
You could
Yeah.
do it
well,
the
you
same
just said
time.
I put one sock on it before the other.
Well, but like the right
Yeah.
sock before left sock, or you know.
I knew what you were saying, but it made it more fun.
No,
this
you
way.
wanted to make me seem like a dumbass. I get it because I don't need your help to make me
What?
sound like a dumbass. I can do that myself, Jason. Thank you.
What are you talking about? I don't know what you mean. Yeah, I don't think Dylan, you were a pitcher in college. You were an All-American.
Oh, I
Do you have
guarantee
any
you.
superstitions?
All American. Yeah.
In my mind,
not
you are.
really.
In my heart.
Nah, not really. I mean, what power we wield, you know, we can do things like what was it, 500 miles from Pittsburgh that you know, make the outcome of the Chiefs game change. You know, you got quite power around this town of people with superstitions.
Well, if you watched Holiday Touchdown, a Chiefs love story, then yeah, you would
true.
understand
oh,
the power.
right.
Yes.
The documentary.
Yeah, a real documentary about the Chiefs hat.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the way,
Stocking cap.
spoiler alert with that movie. If you haven't seen it yet, spoiler alert. Why did Santa steal the hat? Seems like a little plot issue.
The
there.
Santa was
watch
kind
it
of
yet.
creepy, quite frankly. He just kept showing up, and it was kind of a
Yeah, sorry,
scary
spoiler
Santa.
alert. Like I said,
Kind of like a violent
Yeah,
night.
like
Santa.
I said, spoiler alert.
Wait,
I
Jason,
feel like
have you
that's
seen the movie?
A plot hole.
You have seen the movie then?
Yes.
What about when the
Yes.
snow kind of got superimposed over them? Because I laughed.
Oh.
Me and my wife laughed for a good 15 minutes straight. We had to pause the movie because we couldn't believe that the snow was just superimposed over there. It was like floating through them. It was
It
incredible.
wasn't real snow.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like it was.
But it
just
wasn't
like
even
done
like
by
a snow
computer
machine.
later. Yeah, exactly.
and it was just going through them. It was incredible.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Even as a Chiefs fan, I thought it was a little cheesy. If
Only
I
a
was
little
Chiefs
bit?
fan, it would've taken-
I think
it would've-
as a
it
Chiefs
was-
fan, you
I'm
just make
saying
you think
even
that
as a Chiefs
more.
fan.
Yeah, I think.
I mean, even as a Chiefs, if I wasn't a Chiefs fan, it would take me about 3.5 minutes before I turned it off.
Yeah.
It was to me, it was way too Chiefsy.
Yeah,
to
well,
throw a
but I mean, none of us
blanket
are
over
watching it
the,
for
the
entertainment,
country.
right? We're just going to watch it out of curiosity.
Correct.
Because it mentions places
That's all I was
around town
watching
and
for,
people
yeah.
we know and stuff
And
like that.
You do know you can walk from Independence to Crown Center in about 5 minutes.
Seriously?
It's
Oh,
it's
God.
walking distance. It's
I gotta watch it.
Slight
I've been busy
jaunt.
watching Chiefsaholic. I watched that one.
Ah,
Oh,
nice.
my God.
Yeah.
That also
Dude,
makes
I
you
just-
be embarrassed to be a Chiefs fan.
Oh, dude, I was
Not
man,
embarrassed, but
I
like
went
how
off
it's
on another
portrayed.
tangent.
It's like people outside
Dude,
of the kingdom. They call it the kingdom all the time. My eyes rolled out of my head 10 times watching that thing. With those,
You know what?
How'd you get him back in?
it was tough. Surgery. That's why I have my glasses on now.
Here's the thing. I want to talk about that at 1 o'clock. We don't
Okay,
have enough time
gotcha.
to talk about it right now. Okay, I want to talk about that at 1 o'clock because I'm still annoyed by that whole thing. I watched it for my job, and I saw you saying that Aaron Ladd got
He got a shout out.
got
Did you see
quoted
that?
there. Yeah, he did get a shout out. Aaron Ladd's so funny.
I
You
looked
know?
up.
Oh,
I went back
Xavier,
and looked
man.
at that tweet that he sent out. I found it.
Yeah. Apparently, Chiefsaholic loved it, man. That was so cool, man. It's probably the highlight of Aaron Ladd's. Two things I'll remember Aaron Ladd for: F it, Tyreek down there somewhere, and Xavier saying Aaron Ladd is so funny.
Yeah, there were a lot more moments
There he
with
is.
Aaron. We had to monitor his social.
Oh. Oh, okay. Those
Social
were the two
medias.
things. Those were the two things. We'll take a timeout. Another thing that I definitely want to talk to you about, Mick, is the meaning of bowl games. Kansas State last night, if there is a meaning to them coming back and playing that way, because I watched last night and I'm like, I can see why K-State fans are going to be over the moon this offseason about what the offense can look like next year. With those two guys in the backfield, oh, my God. Just the haymakers and the big plays that could be there. Another offseason of Avery developing and things like that. So we'll talk a little bit about if there's meaning in winning a bowl game, if that has any impact whatsoever on the next year. Get his thoughts on the way the Chiefs are playing right now, and weigh in on the dumb documentary about Chiefsaholic that puts Chiefs Kingdom in a poor light. I'll just say that. More Zone next. And we'll talk a little documentaries as well with one Mick Schaefer. That comes up in the next hour as we head off into the weekend. That'll be filled with some football, some college football, some NFL football. On Monday, we've got the Mizzou game for you right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Had the K-State game for you last night on Sports Radio 810. And certainly all of those college football playoffs that'll be continuing to come our way with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 more games to go in the college football playoff. That comes up as we continue rolling along. 1 more hour to go on this Friday. More Zone next. And with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, Mick Schaefer is hanging out with us as well. 913-912-4810 to be a part of the show, part of the conversation. Mick.
What?
I ended the show yesterday in the last few minutes talking a little bit about it. But I wanted to get your thoughts on it as well. The Wolf in Chiefs Clothing documentary on Prime Video. I don't know what your thoughts are on it and what it portrayed or made those of us around Kansas City look like. I have an idea based on one thing that you said in the previous hour, but what did you think of that treat?
Well, I was glad when they finally interviewed the woman in the Tulsa bank, right, and talked about her trauma, because I don't care if he had a BB gun or not. That's something that's going to live with these people. That's not just her. He did it over and over again, all these banks. That's going to live with multiple people, multiple banks for the rest of their lives, a good chance. So while we, sent out memes and had funny tweets about it, and while a lot of that documentary was kind of glorifying him, yes. I was glad at least for 10 minutes we saw the other side. And so, yes, first of all, they elevated him to nobody knew about him, right? Nobody. I mean, most Chiefs fans didn't know about him, right? It wasn't this. They called him at one point a hero has fallen. No, he was not a hero, right?
Who said
right?
that?
Oh, a hero has fallen. One of the other super fans. And so I feel like I was upset. Like all these other people are going to think like he was such a big deal, a big part of Chiefs fandom and games and all that stuff. Somebody else said, the vibe has just been different ever since it's begun. No, it hasn't. No, it hasn't. And I know a lot of those super fans. Lynn Schmidt, Weird Wolf, I've known that guy for 20 plus years. Great dude from Gossel, Kansas. And I was glad him and Kat, I know her as well. They at least
Kat
were,
Basket.
yeah, and
Cole,
yes, and we've done commercials with them
at HBT Chiefs, yeah,
and so I know them better than some of the others, and we do commercials with them, right? For 41, we did a commercial with Chiefsaholic. I'm on a roof for crying out loud, and so that's their deal. Like they'll take their shots, people make fun of them, but that's their deal. They like doing it, and that's how they enjoy it. And so I and they're good people. I know that the fake Andy Reid's. One of the guys sings opera, right? And so and Puppet Lady, I've known her forever.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And so I was glad to see at least those two and maybe a couple others say like, no, this is wrong. You should not do this. I mean, he went off the deep end. He was stealing and lying and all this stuff. We don't support him because there were some others that somehow still don't believe he did it and still support him and think of it as just this ha-ha big funny joke. So I thought it was a well-done overall documentary. I didn't know they had that much access to him the in-between time, right, when he got busted and then when he went on the lam. I was like, are they going to be in this Dix when he sheds the ankle monitor? And then the bounty hunter, he's such a buckler, right? That's what we call just like people who are the heroes of every story. Yes. He's just all about himself, and he loved the camera there. I'm sure so much of that was staged, right, with him. And I'm like, why don't you just go without the hairpiece? Because you look better bald, buddy, than with the hairpiece. And so I guess, those are my initial thoughts on that whole deal.
You using the word glorifying, that's exactly what I used yesterday. I was like, somehow this comes away with a number of
They're
people
victims there. It's not a victimless crime. It wasn't.
Right. There are absolutely victims there. And I talked about that with the lady that never returned to work. She doesn't go into a bank. She thinks about it. He's got a gun to her head. Then he puts a gun to the manager's head who's got the codes to the vault. And if she doesn't open up the vault, the lady that they interviewed is thinking he's not going to shoot her because she knows how to get in there. Yeah. Who's he going to shoot to make an example? Me. I've got 2 young kids. I'm the one that's going to be killed by this guy who's already threatened to shoot me if I don't cooperate. You don't know that it's a fake gun. You don't know how desperate this guy is. This guy might be totally desperate and doesn't care what he does.
You
to
have
make sure
no
he gets
idea.
His money.
You think absolutely that's a gun, right? That's a real gun.
100%.
Yes.
Somebody
you don't
points
know
a gun at my head. I'm not going to go. That's an airsoft pistol.
Yeah.
Get out of here, dude. No, I'm not. I'm not familiar enough with them. And so it wasn't a victimless crime. Cat Basket, absolutely. Cole at HBT Chiefs on Twitter had, at the end when he was like,
we don't need him. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We don't claim him. Nobody wants him in Chiefs Kingdom. Nobody cares about him. Cat was like, even before all this, Cat was like, he's not a good representation. He's a bad representation of Chiefs Kingdom. He's not what Chiefs fans represent. Like, he had a good following of some people, but like using him to sort of lift him up as this is the leader, the Pied Piper of Chiefs fans, is this guy who wore a wolf costume and went to games. Like, that's how I knew him, is that every once in a while in the background of a touchdown, he would show up. I didn't know anything about like the Twitter stuff, and I'm on Twitter all the time for my job. I had no idea, his Twitter profile. And,
neither did I.
She's not on Twitter anymore. I don't know if maybe because she deleted Twitter or not, but the lady in Pennsylvania, Lexi Farmer, that said, I don't want to compare him to a god, but that's kind of what he was.
She's definitely writing him in jail.
If there are visits, she's probably the first one. I would guess. And Chiefs Kingdom hasn't been the same.
She got way too much airtime.
The highlight of my week is when I saw his hype video.
Chiefs Kingdom hasn't changed at all. It hasn't changed.
Yeah, the highlight of my week, his hype videos before the game. And,
seriously?
Not
the game itself.
Compare him. No. It was. I don't want to compare him to a god, but that's kind of what he was.
Listen,
these are the people. I mean, here's the thing: if you watch that and you're not a Chiefs fan, I would come away thinking these guys are freaking nuts.
Yeah.
This guy robbed a bank, but because he rooted for the Chiefs, they're just like making a joke out of it.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is wrong with these people? And I think it was a well done documentary, but I do think it was a little slanted in being positive towards him. Yeah. They spent way too much time talking about how he's doing all of this for his family, and the MVP vote or the MVP bet and the Super Bowl bet hitting.
And the family continued to live out of a car.
They lived in he stole $800,000 from banks, and that entire time he was placing bets of $80,000 on the Chiefs.
And didn't have a roof over his head.
Didn't have a roof over his head, and his mom and brother were living in their car. Don't tell me about, well, if the Chiefs win the Super Bowl and if Mahomes wins the MVP, then his family's going to be taken care of.
Then finally that $100 grand.
He didn't take care of him.
He stole a bet.
The guy was all about himself.
He stole a bet.
He was all about himself. He was a narcissist that didn't care about anybody else, including the victims or not, and didn't even care about his family, no matter what he says. He did not care about his mom and brother, because if you steal that much money, that's a house. I am buying them a house. They're set up, and now I can go back to my
in Target
gambling.
Parking lots.
Yeah, now I can go back to my gambling and some of those things. I know I'm addicted to that, but I've stolen enough money. I can get them a house. I can put myself in an apartment for a year. I don't know, pay a year's worth of rent, but people are taken care of. And now I can go and play, big money gambler and go to these charities and donate $20,000 to, 15 in Mahomes. I bet his mom and brother could use the $15,000.
Exactly.
Although, at least it went to a good cause.
Well, that $20K. They could call him Robin Hood.
But the 80,000 went to Ameristar. I don't think he's really robbing from the rich to give to Ameristar.
Exactly. He's giving to Vegas. He's robbing from the rich to give to the rich.
Well, that does go to public schools, right? So, if he takes it to Ameristar, it's a public school donation.
He's not even robbing for the rich. He was robbing from banks that hold money for all levels of income people in America. So,
I was appreciative that they at least showed some victims in this. And there were a couple of people that they interviewed that just said what I think decent humans would feel.
Yeah.
In that.
Just a couple.
Yeah, bleep that guy.
Dude, the bounty hunter was a fan. He was a fanboy before he went on the run.
Oh, the wolf guy. Oh, man, dude, I'm trying to help you out. You're the wolf guy. Like, what the bleep are you talking about, Tool? Like, and I don't know if it was actually down to 90 days, but that feels a little bit too scripted for a documentary.
Yes,
that he had 90 days to pay this $80,000 bond, or find him, or he's got to lose his license and he'll be out of a job as a
the whole
bail bondsman.
stage, like get the camera on my face and swiping all the papers off his desk. That seems staged.
Yeah. This guy's going, I got 1 day to find him where I got to pay $80,000 and I can lose my license, and then I'm gonna hunt him to the end of the earth. And then the day he has to pay it, oh wow, they caught him today. Oh, my whole career is saved. Really? little too Disney there for that. Maybe it did happen that way, but come on.
There's no chance it happened that way.
I
didn't even pick up that was the actual day. I thought he had to write the check, and then later it was found.
Yeah, no, he's like, dude, I just wrote a check. I just dropped off that check like a couple of hours ago. Hey, man, we need you to change back into the clothes you were wearing. We need to go and we need to do another scene real quick with this. But look, I watched it because I saw you tweeting about it a little bit with Aaron Ladd, and I'm like, you know what? It's my job. Let me watch it and see. And then I just got more and more mad watching it, and that's what hooked me is my annoyance with it. I'm like, there's got to be somebody here that at least has a view of the world that isn't skewed by this guy wore a wolf costume and went to Chiefs games. So
it's not even the first guy to wear a wolf costume. Weird Wolf is the OG.
The OG. The
100%.
OG wolf.
Right? Like, am I wrong here? Like, he's
I wanted
an original.
If anything, I needed to hear from X Factor. Like, I wanted him to be a part of it. Let's see what he's up to, man. Let's get an update. All the while, we get a wolf in Chiefs clothing with the Chiefsaholic documentary, and we could get an update on what X Factor is doing.
They're actually doing
days.
the part 2 is the X Factor documentary.
They showed one little shot of X Factor laying knocked out at the Chiefs game.
That's right. They did. Sometimes it can go overboard with the super fans, and it shows X Factor knocked out on the ground. Arrowhead. I'm like, well, you know what? That is kind of funny there. And then the damn lawyer with his 15 minutes of fame so we can make the stupid-ass football puns, which we appropriately had fun with making fun of him.
When they brought him up, I'm like, oh, this guy. They're going to show this speech, and they finally showed it all.
They finally showed it, yeah.
Oh, my gosh. And,
from the beginning, the federal government has been blitzing Xavier. He wants to know that he loves Chiefs Kingdom, and he appreciates Chiefs Kingdom being behind him. We're not.
Yeah.
Enjoy jail, because even like when they won the Super Bowl against the Eagles, and he's tweeting out, the tweet that he made, I'm back, all that stuff, and everybody going crazy, and all he's doing, he's like, dude, it's blowing up, man. Twitter's going crazy, dude. This guy's hilarious. Oh my God, this is amazing, right? And he's out on bail, and he's getting ready to, cut his bracelet.
I can't tell you how much I love Twitter.
Oh, my God, it's so amazing, dude. And all the while, the victim is like, yeah, and then I see the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, and I see him tweeting, and everybody's loving the tweets and everything. I'm like, yeah, that's the real life part of it. That's the real life part of it. This guy's a scumbag. This guy's a narcissistic, selfish person that only cares about himself and wasn't robbing the bank from some altruistic reason. He was robbing the bank so he can go and gamble and didn't take care of his family, which is what they tried to portray these bets and following. Yeah. If Patrick Mahomes wins MVP and they win the Super Bowl, his family will be taken care of. What does it mean to you that knowing your family will be taken care of if these bets come through? It means everything. It just means everything to me, knowing that they'll be taken care of. They're peeing in bags and living at Target's parking lot in a car. Shut up.
And I have to imagine any sort of wealth or property his family comes into forever, that's going to be thrown back to, it's restitution, right? That's going to be owed back to the...
She won $10 million.
She did, but then all the other... you got to pay back those banks, right? And all that, or at least try to.
But even from her standpoint, she won a $10 million settlement against him. So that $150,000 bet ain't going to this family.
No.
So, if you want to watch it, people can watch it. There's some things that, came through there that I thought were, of interest. And you do hear from some of the people there. And then the lawyer at the end, when he's walking off, puts a Chiefs beanie on as he gets into his car. I'm like, oh, frickin' get out of here.
First of all, he needs to brush his hair differently, learn how to tie a tie.
That knot was the biggest knot ever.
Let me look at it.
Was that not the biggest knot ever on a tie?
Yeah, it wasn't tightened either. And they were my parents asked me. They're like, "Is this some big time lawyer in Kansas City?" I go, "No, I think the opposite. I think the opposite." He was on the other day. He had some press conference the other day for some update.
Oh my!
Yeah,
that tie,
the tie,
the hair.
It looks like a prop piece. The tie is so big. The knot is so. It looks like it takes up his entire neck. It's like a prop piece, man. It's like, are you going as are you a child dressing up in your dad's tie?
They showed him once with his short sleeves, and he's like tatted all up on all his arms.
He had an arm sleeve. That was the most surprising thing of the whole documentary. The dude had an arm sleeve talking about the federal government is blitzing him, and while his pocket was collapsing, he wasn't going to go down to a knee.
Do we know his name? Because I think I found it.
Chiefsaholic lawyer. That's it. Chiefsaholic lawyer, that's his name.
Even some of the
law practices of Chiefsaholic.
Some of the cops they interviewed felt like really kind of hokey. I'm like, are any of these people serious? The lady was the victim they interviewed, and then the guy they shadowed out his face. I think he was an Iowa cop. I'm like, okay, those people seem like normal people. Finally, we're talking to this whole thing.
Yeah, it's like they tried to find as many. And I talked to somebody that was a part of this that said that there were a lot of negative things that were said that did not make the documentary.
Really?
Which made me think that there was more of a positive slant to this, to Xavier.
Supposedly, there's a second documentary. I think ESPN's doing one.
Oh, good God!
Yeah, X Factor.
Well, no, I think it's on Chiefs. Oh, it's on X Factor. I thought there were competing ones on Chiefsaholic.
Well, I hope they would. If that happens, I hope they have a greater portrayal of Chiefs fans that don't give a flying bleep about this guy and are totally okay with him never being a fan again. Don't care if he's a fan. He doesn't represent me. Certainly, I'm a fan of the Chiefs, and I don't give one iota about him, and I hope he enjoys prison. Actually, I don't. I mean, I hope he doesn't enjoy prison. I mean, he terrorized people for a while,
Only 17 and a half years.
Yeah, and
it won't even be that long.
Minus one for Sterling on our ZOUs. So
barely missed.
It's just like Sterling was cheering him on, really. That's
exactly.
That's how I
saw it. Sterling was like, I think it's 17, but I'm rooting for 5. I'm rooting for him to only get 5 years because I want to see him back out there at Arrowhead wearing the wolf mask. I want the wolf man.
He had me mail out a bunch of handwritten letters earlier.
Sterling was like, I don't want to call him a god. I don't want to call him a god. But a hero has fallen.
This. That dude
Lexi was just reading Sterling's tweets. Sterling Holmes, I don't want to compare him to a god, but that's kind of what he was. Sterling, is Chiefs Kingdom the same since he went to jail?
It's better.
Probably better, yeah. They won a couple of Super Bowls.
You're damn right it is. You're damn right it is. Mick, what's the value in a bowl game? Is there a value in a bowl game? Is it just a fun exhibition? Is it just the practice?
I think that's the biggest value. Absolutely. I mean, you're kind of, and anymore though. I mean, with the portal, I guess for the most part, the guys staying and practicing in December are staying. But so I would say the practices. I mean, it's a head start on your head start, and your first head start is spring ball.
Yeah.
Right. And so that helps. I think. And then, but I always liked. Oklahoma State's coach Mike Gundy, who would cheer for, he always tried to win bowl games. He went out and tried to win. There are coaches that are like, whatever. So I appreciated that. I like winning the final game. I don't know if there's any momentum that can be carried over from late December, early January, all the way to late August or early September. But I like getting another win. Right? Maybe that means the difference in 8 or 9 wins or 9 and 10. And so, yeah, and it's I've known enough people now that like have. Kids that have played on the team, their families go. I know a couple dads of dancers on the K-State squad who were there last night. It was a family vacation. It was a big celebration, kind of the whole season. Nice. And so, yeah, inner circle wise, it's a thing. It's a trip, and it's all that. So I think there is value in them. I mean, we talk about the. It was a rate bowl this year, right? It wasn't even guaranteed, right? It wasn't the wasn't even guaranteed.
They couldn't guarantee
They couldn't do it this year.
They couldn't put a dump in a box and mark a guarantee. They didn't have extra time.
No warranty whatsoever on that rate.
At least a promise rate.
Yes.
Like they could at least
promise ring bowl.
And they're fun games to where like winning, I mean losing isn't the worst thing in the world, so you see coaches kind of like go after it more, and usually oftentimes they are more fun, and that's the case of point last night. So that's my feeling on bowl games. It's another chance to go, and you're taking on usually a team from a different area and a different conference that you haven't played before, and so that part makes it more enjoyable too.
Yeah, I thought last night, and I don't know.
Mike Gundy will not try to win his bowl game this year, though. However,
really, okay,
it's the first time in a long time. Yeah,
even if he tries, I don't think he will.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to translate to success next year, and I don't know how much that actually matters, because we've seen Missouri lost a bowl game 2 years ago before they had that amazing season last year. Like we saw, KU didn't even go to a bowl before they went 11-1. And went to the Orange Bowl. So they didn't use a bowl game the year before as sort of a catalyst or jumping off point or anything like that. And I'm trying to think back. Maybe there was in K-State late 90s.
They didn't go to a bowl the year before? That's crazy. I didn't know
KU?
that. Yeah.
No, I don't. I'm pretty sure there was like, well, they didn't go to bowl. Now they're buying a BCS bowl game invite. Sorry, Dylan. But I don't. Maybe there was in the late '90s that maybe K-State and Bill Snyder had a bowl game one year, and that led into the next year of them being one of the teams that could win and play for a national championship. And so I don't know how much that matters. There have been two teams, at least in my years covering teams, that I do remember specifically. It felt like it had a carryover. Both of them were teams that I covered, in Louisville. One of them was Charlie Strong, had his bowl practice was like fall camp, the players said, and he used that bowl game as this is our first game of the next year. And that next year is when they went and beat Florida in the Sugar Bowl. Like, it was like they hit the ground running. It was Teddy Bridgewater's last year. And it was like, next year is our year. We're building for it. We're spending our bowl game practice like fall camp. Like, it is going to be tough, hard-nosed, physical, spring ball, same thing. And then the other one that I remember was Lamar Jackson's true freshman year. They played A&M, and he threw for 250 and rushed for 230 in the game. And that next year is when it was like, that carried over into this is the guy, and then he won the Heisman. Those are the only ones that I remember being connected, and the coaches talking about it started there and it came here. And if there's a connection for K-State next year, like, it could be, hey, it started in the second half when we saw Avery Johnson and Dylan Edwards just making big play after big play and haymakers, and this offense, we saw what it can be and take it to the next level when Dylan Edwards is getting the ball in certain ways. And hey, the defense came out and gave up 80 yards in the second half after getting torched. 6 of the first 7 drives they scored on, Rutgers did. Then they gave up 80 yards in the second half, and all of the, I could see that being the case if people stay healthy, right? But one of the cool things that I thought last night, Mick, was watching two guys in the backfield, Kansas kids, in Avery Johnson and Dylan Edwards, making those plays, and also Chris Kleiman on 4th and 3 at his own 33 with 11 minutes to go in the game saying, bleep it, let's go for it.
Game, let's go.
We're not going to punt here. Let's go for it.
It's the Rate Bowl. Nothing's guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed. No, I agree. And I think it's a long time coming for Dylan and Avery. Like as early as their sophomore and junior years, they were kind of pegged as, okay, these guys, good chance are going to end up at K-State. Dylan obviously committed to Notre Dame first, right? And maybe then K-State, then eventually Colorado, and then came back to Kansas State. And so, I was excited last year when they won the Pop-Tarts Bowl for Avery Johnson in the next step he was going to make. I think it took another step this year. But hopefully, in this day and age in college sports, stability might be the biggest thing, right? And you bring back a quarterback now for a third year in the same system, under the same head coach, and a running back who's been there as well. These guys are burners. I've seen them play since they were sophomores and juniors in high school, and they're definitely high-level college athletes. And so, if you can build that stability, I think that might give you a leg up on just about every other team out there.
I made the comparison earlier in the show, a boxing analogy, because when it comes to me, I typically make boxing analogies.
Too many,
on the show.
Right now.
Way too often.
Hey, UFC's where it's at, Jason. No, I care about boxing.
Play the boxing.
Guy.
Play the boxing alarm. Boxing alarm. I'm talking boxing again. But I made the analogy for boxing in that, look, DJ Giddens is really, really good, obviously, but I feel like DJ Giddens is a technical boxer that will be pointing you and jabbing you, and then, hey, you can get a knockout from time to time. But over the course of the fight, he's going to wear you down, and he'll have some big rounds here or there. Where Dylan Edwards is Tyson. He's just coming out swinging, and he may lose a round or two, but also he's going to have a huge highlight and some haymakers along the way and, change a game. Because, he had a couple of carries that were -1, 1 yard carry, no gain. 65-yard touchdown, 43-yard run, 36-yard touchdown, 26-yard touchdown catch. He may hit you here and there, but then at any second, Dylan Edwards with the ball in his hands, has a chance of taking it to the house. And while DJ Giddens could and do some of those things, it felt more like he was going to get you 5 or 6. You block 4, Giddens is going to get you 6. Yeah. You block 7, he'll get you 12. And then he'll break off a big one from time to time. I don't think there's going to be that many consistent down after down handoffs to Dylan Edwards that are positives. But I think at any point there's 80 yards Dylan Edwards to the house.
It's what speed can do, right? He's one of those guys. He's just a burner, and if you're a step away from where you should be defensively on your assignment, then bam, all of a sudden you can break. He can break out one of those runs. Same deal with Avery Johnson as well. Those are 4 and 5 star guys, and DJ Giddens was a 0-star guy out of Junction City, right? A guy that had to maybe kind of learn things more. I'm gonna read blocks, right? I'm gonna get bigger, faster, stronger in the weight room. Not that these other guys aren't, but they got a lot of athletic, innate ability there to rely on. DJ Giddens maybe had to work his way up a little bit more. So, it's good to see those guys, and they're like best friends, and that's a good thing for K-State fans. And that they won't transfer out, because that's the biggest fear is you at this day and age.
Maybe that's the bowl game. Maybe that's the first part of next year, is that you know who's there that's playing in the bowl game. Like you know who's going to be there.
Jace Brown's
right?
he's not transferring. He's there. Dylan Edwards is there.
Okay, he's there. Okay, good. Yes. Like Gabe DeArmond this morning was asked by Nate. He's like, well, who are you excited? He's like, oh, yeah, I'm really excited to see Lacey. Oh, wait, no, he's at Nebraska. Well, this the freshman wide receiver getting a chance. Oh, wait, no, he transferred out. I'm really excited. And he did that a few times. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what the bowl games have become. But at least now, who's playing on Monday for Missouri that's not a senior will be on the team next year. So it's not like you're watching the last couple of weeks of the season and going, is Williams Winara going to transfer to Nebraska? Is he going to play? Is Lacey going to be back next year? Is he going to do this? Is this guy going to be there? Is that guy going to be there? Okay. Like, is Mekhi Miller going to transfer? No, of course he's not. Okay, he is. Yes. Is Manning going to transfer? No, he's not. Thank God. Because I think Manning's going to be really good. And you know what? I'm okay with him getting more of a higher profile game, Joshua Manning, to go out there and play on Monday and be, emphasize a little bit more to see what kind of player that I think he can be. And hopefully I'm right about how good he can be as a local kid at Mizzou. But, yeah, I think maybe it's that start of like, okay, these are the guys that aren't seniors that we're going to be here next year.
Speaking of that, Oklahoma just had their freshman quarterback who's playing today run like a 60-yard run in for a touchdown.
Flag.
And never mind, it's a hold.
Coming back.
Sooners.
What's the score on that? I forgot.
14-14.
I forgot there was a bowl game on right now.
Oklahoma shot out of a cannon 14 points like the first 8 minutes of the game, and then haven't scored since.
That was a nice little father-son booing the refs right there. They had you were looking away.
Oh, really?
Nick. Yeah, it was a nice father-son. Nice. They were getting real involved.
Yeah,
there.
Sooners, no way.
Such great moments like that.
Oh, yeah, that's a hold.
You gotta love moments like that between a father and son.
Just booing the dad doing the thumbs down.
Creating memories.
Yeah.
Creating memories. It's sort of like Oklahoma's year this year then, right? Burst right out of the gates, started 4-1, barely lost to Tennessee, and then everything went bye-bye after that. So maybe it's the same thing. Bowl game is just
Do you guys know what the Missouri Music City Bowl is actually called? Who the title sponsor is?
No, who is it?
I think it's called Transperfect.
Morgan Wallen? Oh. Morgan Wallen's chairs.
Chair throwing contest. That'd be a good one to do a chair throwing contest before, it's almost like shot put, but you throw a chair.
Yeah. Or it could be presented by Morgan Wallen, like that one is just presented by Gronk.
Is there really one just presented by Gronk?
Yeah, there's one presented by Gronk.
Wow, nice.
Yeah,
good
the
for
Las
him.
Vegas Bowl.
Yep.
Yeah, you know what? This could be the overrated city Music City Bowl.
Oh, really? Nashville's overrated, huh? I've never been there.
It's extremely overrated.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fun.
It's overpriced and overrated.
Transperfect Music City Bowl. What do you think Transperfect does?
I don't know. I don't know, man.
Idea. Transportation that's perfect?
Transperfect Music City Bowl. Let's do some research here. I don't know what they do.
It's top choice for fast, high-quality translation management in over 200 languages with 10,000
they got translation. Got it. Thank goodness.
Yep. Experience Transperfect. Transperfect Connect. Break through language barriers in seconds with Transperfect remote interpreting. See, and
it's working. Hey, bowl advertising is working. We've learned about it.
We look. You know what?
Look at that. They got you. They got you, Sterling.
Auf Wiedersehen.
There you go, Sterling. Yeah.
Ich
you
liebe
guys see
Bier.
Nashville? That translates me to overrated city.
Wo ist ein Badzimmer, bitte?
What's that mean?
Where's the bathroom, please? Yeah.
Oh, donde está el baño?
Dankeschön.
Okay.
Ich liebe beers. I love beer because dry beer, bitte. I know how to order beers and where the bathroom is, which are the really important things. I feel like in that, I'm just getting ready for Oktoberfest.
Yeah, clearly in December. O Tannenbaum, it's my second language. My second language is love. We'll take a time out. We'll come back, continue hanging out with Mick Schaefer up till 2 o'clock. We've got Who is Lighting It Up. We got the cut still to come. More Zone next.
Products. Try their new AI Bud Tender to help you shop their huge menu online. Visit greenlightdispensary.com for more info.
All right, we continue right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Jason Anderson with you, Sterling Holmes, Dylan Michaels, Mick Schaefer, KSHB 41 Sports Director. Anybody want to go first? Any particular order we want to go for who is lighting it up? Anybody got one that they just want to get out there?
I'll be last.
I'll do it. I got it.
Very good. Sterling, you go right ahead.
I'll go Eric Dickerson. Eric Dickerson on regards to wanting Saquon Barkley, if or not to break his record, right? He goes, do I want him to break it? Absolutely not. I don't pull no punches on that. And he goes, but I'm not whining about it. He had 17 games to do it. Hey, football's football. The way I look at it, if he's fortunate to get over 2,000 yards and get the record, it's a great record to have. But I just love that. Do I want him to break it? Absolutely not. I don't pull no punches on that.
That's great. Be honest. You know what I mean? Like the easy thing would say, oh, no, it's cool, man. Records are made to be broken, and I hope he goes out there and succeeds, and that'd be really cool to see such a great player like him, break my right. No,
he did praise him. He did praise him a lot.
That's fine. But yeah.
I love that. No, because you don't want someone to break your record. And also, he goes, I've always said that one thing that's going to last the longest is me setting the rookie record with 1,808 yards, because you only get one shot at that. You're only a rookie once.
He's got 17 games now too, so technically he's not going to break.
And he also had 16 instead of 14, so it wasn't like he was the 154, 162 in baseball. I mean, it changes.
Yeah. So let's see. Saquon Barkley is at 1,838.
He's pacing right now for 2,083. The record is 2,105 in 16 games, so he's just off of the pace.
So he would need 267 this weekend to tie Eric Dickerson in 16 games.
Correct.
So, but he needs 267 in the next couple of weeks. Also, will he play in Week 18? If he's got a chance to break Eric Dickerson's record, does he go out there and play? If they're resting their starters and resting somebody who is considered the MVP of that team, if they're going to play him instead of resting him to get that? I mean, Chris Jones played last year to get his 10th sack. That was a lot of money on the line for him, too.
The only chance is if you're trying to get the 1 seed, which would be a possibility still.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. If I don't know what Philadelphia's playoff possibilities are. I was just thinking, if they were already in their seed spot and couldn't go up or down, and they're resting Hurts and A.J. Brown, but Saquon Barkley needs 95 to break Eric Dickerson's record. Does he go out there to get 95 yards rushing in Week 18, having to play the next week as being a guy who's such a vital part of that team to go and win the Super Bowl? It would be a difficult decision to make. I don't think he'd play, though. I think they'd sit him.
I'm playing.
I don't think they would play him.
Records last forever.
I think if he got to 2,000 yards, I think that
years.
might be to where. Yeah. Well, his lasted for 30 or 40. It's 40 years for Eric Dickerson, right? 84? So, I'm doing quick math. Since I was born in 80 and I'm 44, I'm just going to take 44 minus 4, and that's easily 35. Wait a minute, 40. I'll get there. All right, who wants to go next? Dylan, Mick, me?
I got it.
Dylan?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Mick already said he's going last. So
I'm still looking.
Sean McDermott is lighting it up in press conferences still. He was asked to describe how he thought the Bills' performance against the Patriots went, but he actually stopped himself before he was able to give that analogy. Here it is.
Let's see. About to use an airplane flying.
Oh, my God.
Analogy, but I'll stay away from that. So, no, just...
So, yeah, Sean's still...
Don't even say it.
He's, that was the thing, too. It's you don't have to tell people what you were about to say, and you didn't stop from saying it. You actually forced it in there, so...
What? I mean...
And I got to mark that.
Also,
so great.
I mean, look, we all would have joked if he'd have said, well, I got to... No, I'm not going to say that. We all would have joked, well, clearly he was thinking of an airplane.
We would have, yes. He was a bee rabbit there. I'm just going to get out ahead of this here and... dunk on myself, but he didn't even have to do that because he, again, told on himself at the same time. So, Sean McDermott lighting it up at press conferences still.
it's like in Bull Durham where they're listening, Annie, and they're listening to the radio, and it's like Crash Davis got kicked out of the game for saying something he probably shouldn't say. He probably called him a.
Yeah, exactly.
It's exactly what he called him. I like that one. Which I mean, just don't say it. Just that's all. Just you don't have to say anything there. Who's lighting it up for me? Network TV, NFL on network TV. That's what's lighting it up for me. As opposed to what we're seeing with some of the streaming stuff and Netflix. One, because, not having internet where we are, watching the game on my iPad with my hotspot didn't exactly give the crisp picture that everybody was excited about with Netflix. But even that, though, Netflix is going crazy about, the Chiefs and Steelers, 24.1 million people watch. It's the most streamed game ever. Baltimore and Houston, 24.3. Also, they had the Beyonce, boost that went along with theirs. So clearly more people watching Chiefs and Steelers. But 24.3 million people watching Baltimore and Houston, right? Oh, man, these crazy numbers. Yeah, the Chiefs on CBS last year, 29.2 million people watched. 29.2 million. The Giants and Eagles, 29 million on Fox. Baltimore and 49ers, 28 million on ABC last year on 2023 on Christmas Day. So 5 million more across the board than what watched on Netflix. And they're like going crazy, like, oh, this is worldwide. 24 million people worldwide. Yeah, 29 million people on CBS alone that were watching it last year on Christmas Day. And a crappy Chiefs-Raiders game. That game sucked.
Question for
unless
you,
were rooting
Jason,
against the Chiefs.
But that doesn't count, I would assume, the people in local markets, right? So that's 24 million people outside of Kansas City, correct?
It's a great question. I don't know.
So you might have to add that.
Numbers.
I don't
we
want
got
to
a TV guy on the show.
I didn't mean to burst your bubble there, but I was just thinking out loud to try to bring some fairness.
Were there 5.2 million people in Kansas City specifically watching the Chiefs game on NBC?
It wasn't on NBC. It was on
I would
CBS.
guess not. On CBS, whatever it was on. I wish it was on NBC. I don't know if I wish that or not.
Probably
I wish
not,
it was
probably
on
not 5 million
anything.
people in Kansas City doing anything.
Well, the Kansas
breathing.
City, the Kansas City and Pittsburgh area, I guess
Still
you have to
not,
combine.
Yeah.
Combine the local markets.
I don't know if you
there
get to that many people. Period.
Well,
combining those two.
But also there are people in the local market that may not have local TV that just are totally cut the cord streaming. I don't know that would be somebody that would then watch the NFL. So, because typically if you don't have local TV, how are you watching the NFL? I get that. But just a quick little point, though, to this. Because the people that weren't watching the NFL, last year those numbers, those 29 million, 27 million, the Boston Celtics and Los Angeles Lakers game got 4.5 million last year on Christmas Day. This year's Christmas Day, with people watching the NFL on Netflix and not network TV, up 84% from last year for the NBA, and the most watched Christmas Day NBA in the last 5 years. Every game averaged more than 5 million viewers. The highlight game last year was right around 5 million for the NBA. So what it was translating to people watching the NBA more than they were watching the NFL with Netflix. So to me, NFL got paid, but it wasn't exactly a win for the NFL.
Well, it got paid. I'm sure it made up for the 5 million people or whatever, and so that's what they're.
They made a lot of money.
Bottom line is,
salary cap goes up, and that helps the Chiefs.
Then the next year, they're
fine.
probably forecasting, okay, that 24 is going to turn into 30, and more people are going to be streaming stuff, and it's going to be more and more. I don't think it's going away.
Yeah, I just don't think it was a coincidence that the NBA was up as high as it was, and the NFL was down from what it was last year. I think people were still watching stuff on Christmas. It's just, well, I'm not watching Netflix to watch. This is going to be on TV right here. And, well, I'm watching the NBA. I'm watching, the Knicks and Spurs got 5 million viewers. And I know Wemby's a cool player to watch, but Knicks and Spurs at the same time the Chiefs and Steelers were playing got, more viewers than last year's Lakers-Celtics marquee matchup Christmas Day. when everybody was watching the NFL on network TV. Mick, who's lighting it up? For
The Eagle family, right? Noah and Ian Eagle both did those games on Netflix, and so maybe Mom Eagle was at home lighting up because she had nothing else to do. The whole family was gone. They were doing NFL football games. I thought that was cool for them. Ian Eagle, one of the best. Not always saddled with one of the best partners, if you ask me. Noah sounds like an up-and-coming good broadcaster as well. And also Shabuzi is headlining the Scripps National Spelling Bee halftime show, which there's a lot of questions there. Apparently they're going to have a halftime show. Yeah, it was just reported by Yahoo Sports.
There's a halftime of a spelling bee?
Scripps writes my checks. I work for a Scripps station, so I'll try to investigate that. There's a halftime show, which is weird because I think it goes over several days. And so I don't know when that halftime is going to be, but Shabuzi, which spell that, first of all, is going to be
That's probably why, because you have to spell Shabuzi. That's actually the last
great
question.
Like he has to, and then he comes out,
That's a great. But the last person before the halftime has to spell Shabuzi. Language of origin, please. Entertainment industry.
It's proper name too, though, so you can't.
Yeah,
shouldn't be allowed.
That's right. So that's going to be an EY for sure. With that. By the way, if you type in Shabuzi on Google, maybe this is just mine, but I put Shabuzi in there, pressed enter, and then my screen floated right and left like I was in water on a boat, and eventually came to center and stopped.
Yep, mine did.
Everybody else was Shabuzi.
Because they're tipsy, probably.
It's got to be something with the Shabuzi.
That's the song, Tipsy. A bar song,
well,
Tipsy. So I'm assuming that's probably why.
Tipsy.
That's pretty clever.
That is
Whoa,
really clever,
wild.
That's pretty clever.
What are we
that crazy?
doing? You can do that now? It's crazy. Are there any others you can do that?
Man. I don't know. Let's figure it out in the break. Let's just randomly Google search stuff. You're being arrested. Sir, why were you Google searching this? I was seeing if the screen would move. You got to believe me, officer. All right, we'll take a timeout. Cuts next.
to avoid.
That's what it was.
But
He kept saying 4
yeah.
weddings. That's right.
Yes.
I think he was saying like 4 weddings, or it's 4 weddings, or yeah, 4 Christmases. Yes. I was saying the same thing to my radio. Kendall couldn't hear that either. It's weird. Yeah. How bad do you feel about yourself for not getting Die Hard? I mean, let's
you know, I'm more of a Con Air sort of guy.
Whereas, I love that. That is fantastic. I got to get home to my daughter. It's her birthday. All right, keep going.
Jim Harbaugh would take longer. I thought he would get turned around, Sterling, but not this quick. And, you know, kudos to him. And I think it's because he wears cleats on the sidelines. But that's just me. As far as the Broncos,
that's true. Yes, wearing cleats on the sidelines always gives you extra cred with the players. Everybody knows this.
Sorry, well, Jack's off today.
Oh,
Sterling.
stop. Stop it, on Sterling. purpose. That is just a little bit too far.
He was off that day. What?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Is it jacket on weather this weekend?
I think it's
I
the
don't know what it
opposite.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I don't know. I'll be driving on Sunday, so we'll see.
Whatever the opposite
you
is,
know
I
what?
think it's the opposite.
Oh,
jacket on. What?
You know what, Mick? I'm glad I talked over that, by the way. I'll see you on Sunday night. We'll
Yes,
be
you will.
sounding off,
Do it.
right?
Sound
Yeah.
off.
I'm going to sound off. Sound on, sound off. Dylan, in about 10 seconds, I need you to turn this sound off and then hand it over to the program, who's ever in for the program, okay? Is that cool? Good.
Done.
Great. Awesome. See you, Mick. Appreciate
Bye.
it. Love you. Love your show.